I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He's just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
King Bucho, welcome to BDA Boxing,
I am a king.
the Box and Debate Arena. Special episode, Fan Appreciation Show. That's right. This is your show today, people. Well, actually, it's always your show, but this one is even more special because I think we have the best chat on YouTube. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on this channel, but you know, I usually rewatch the channel. The video, right? The live streams, and I read the comments because they're fucking funny. Some people are crazy, of course. Like Stu says, the chat sometimes very toxic, but that's what you get in boxing. It's not a normal sport. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Boxing, it's a dirty sport, and so you're gonna get some scum when it comes to fans, but for some reason we come back always wanting more. Gonzalo, are you there? All right. He's fixing his mic. Jay Perez says that Bucho is a closet LDBC fan. Yep, I am. Imagine at some point I come out of the closet. I'm an LDBC fan. I was hiding all this time. Dan Cass says it's primal. That's right, boxing is primal. Actually, I should give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Jim McDonald Boxing, Adam UK. I see Gonzalo's fixing his mic. Iceman.
Hey, how you doing, Bucho?
Yeah, what's up, man?
How are you?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Doing all right. Just waking up.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's 5 a.m. over there, no?
It's 6 in the morning.
6. All right. So yeah, this is the fan appreciation show. So we're gonna talk about whatever you guys want. Well, actually, we're gonna open up the phone lines. We're gonna have StreamYard, so you guys can call in. Also, guys, I was thinking maybe we can talk about the plans that I have for the channel. Because I was thinking, you know, the kumite, it's we don't really have debates lately, like the one-on-one debates, which is the whole point of a kumite. So I was thinking maybe we should have like a tournament format. And so we have, you know, obviously one-on-one debates. And then the winner is determined by voting on the community section of the channel. And you guys know where it is, right? It was where we add polls and stuff like that. So maybe we can do that. Like one-on-one debates. And then during the show, people vote who they think won. And yeah. Then we have a tournament and we have a champion, a kumite champion. But I have to figure out like what people can debate, right? Because, you know, we have to provide different topics because sometimes people agree on certain things. So I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out. If you guys have any input, any ideas, just drop it on the comment section of this video or right now in the chat. We can do that.
There's only like a few really good topics to debate as far as boxing. Maybe like the Lomachenko Teofimo scorecard, along those lines. All the
Yeah.
other ones, after being on YouTube for a while, they get pretty redundant and stupid
Well,
because it's
Gonzalo.
not about people really wanting to debate boxing. It's about personalities over really like the subject.
Yeah, that's it's about personalities. But also, I mean, we can go back to the past in terms of boxing, like in history. Like we can debate who actually won, Sugar Ray Leonard or Hagler. I know that's a controversial fight. I know Sugar Ray Leonard doesn't think it's controversial, but he knows. He knows. Yeah, we can debate things like that. You know, who won, De La Hoya or Trinidad?
That's a good one to break down, the Trinidad de la Hoya. I just recently watched the Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, and weird. I thought that just recently watching it, I didn't think it was that great of a fight. I don't know why. I probably have to rewatch it again.
Pats?
Well, I was in the toilet, so I was in the toilet.
Yeah, maybe you should sit down somewhere else. You know, but it was an okay fight. The crowd was cheering when fucking Sugar Ray Leonard was throwing those little pity pads. Okay, they weren't that little.
Yeah, he was running, huh? He was running for a while. Sometimes he did sit in the pocket and throw punches. Yeah, but he ran. He ran also.
Did he even admit that his plan was to win like the last part of this, like the last 30 seconds or something, and steal the round? Like,
and I know that marvelous Marvin Hagler, he was a great fighter, but he sometimes he looks slow and ponderous, throwing like one shot at a time. Maybe because he had to catch up to Leonard, so he couldn't really like plant his feet. But I mean, these boxers nowadays, man, they would have beat those guys up. I don't know about Leonard, but maybe Hagler, like a Triple G, in my opinion. To be honest, man.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we can talk about that fight, definitely. There's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler. Hagler might have been past his prime. But I want to read this comment from
Sheldon. The Hearns Hagler, when they call those 3 rounds the best in history, I only really thought that the first round was great. The other 2 rounds, man, freaking Thomas Hearns was on spaghetti legs.
Yeah,
he was not even. Yeah.
He was surviving. That's a good point. I don't know what the excitement was there. I guess because you were expecting the guy to take a knee or fall, right? So, but that was pretty much it. It wasn't that competitive after that. Shelton in the chat, he says we could do old fight watch parties and score comment on them together. Yeah, that's a good idea. We could watch old fights so we don't get any copyrights. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe add a few drinks here and there. I know Mr. BDA keeps wanting to do a drinking show, but just never got around to it.
I'm gonna have to only keep it to like wine. Wine's all right. I can't drink the other stuff. I black out. I think I have like black spots on my brain. I don't remember anything, and I do crazy.
Yeah, maybe. But wine, all right. Well, whatever you want, man. I'm trying to read some comments here. What else do we have? John Gonzalez says, what about an actual fight to the death between the fans? Yeah, I don't think that's legal. But we're going to look into it. Maybe there's a loophole. What else do we have in the chat? Jason Reborn. By the way, Jason Bourne, I talked to Stu and he forgave you. Well, yeah, basically he gave you like, what is it called? Clemency. So your other account is actually working now. But you're walking on thin ice. Apparently. So you better behave. Oh yeah, Chris Court says, what happened to Trivia TKO? All right. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, we have to write a bunch of questions. It takes time, people, man. It takes a lot of time. Who was working with? Obviously, was Revolucion and myself, and sometimes Mr. BDA.
That boy's a champion.
Yeah. the only issue is that we have to write questions, and yeah, we gotta get to it, man. Just takes a lot of time to write these questions, and some of them, I mean, they can be easy, they can be super hard. I mean, then you gotta categorize the whole thing, all the questions. Like we had like 3 levels, right? Easy, medium, and hard, and it takes time. That's basically what I'm saying. But you're right. I gotta get to it. Gotta get to it. Yeah, he says those were the best. All right, we gotta do it for sure. Oh, if anybody wants to help us write some questions, and let me know on Discord. John Gonzalez says Jason Bourne is walking on thin ice for the 9th time. That's right, man. Adam UK says BDA. Who do you have between McGregor and Poirier? If you want to talk to Mr. BDA, he's not here. This is Bucho. But I don't know. I heard McGregor won the first fight. I didn't even see it, so I can't really tell. What else are people saying in the chat? Tamer Hassan says, "What's the pay for writing questions? There's really no payment. What the hell? It's not like we're making money out of this channel. We're making some donations." Jason Reborn says, "I'm really just misunderstood." Yeah, that's what the Nazis, I think, said as well. Blue Collar Sports TV says, "Big up, lads." Yeah, Blue Collar Sports TV. He is the current boxing BDA. What's it called? BDA boxing trivia TKO champion. So we were just talking about that, the show, the trivia TKO show. How we need to bring it
We
back.
should talk to Mauricio Suleiman, see if he could get him a belt. No.
Yeah, one of those belts, toy belts. Brian Harkin says, "I am drunk." I'm not surprised. All right, let's open up the phone lines. Hold on. Hey, Gonzalo, what do you think about the Canelo Yildirim fight?
But it's the mandatory. It's in February. I'm surprised that he turned around so quick and gave a fight date, because when he was with Oscar De La Hoya, he was waiting for the longest of times for like the last 2 years. There was no announcement made. It almost made me believe that Canelo was. I mean, he does seem arrogant, but that he was really more arrogant than now it appears that. I mean, he's giving us the date, so I think it was more of a De La Hoya thing. Contractual disputes, whatnot. So now if he fights and he fights in February, then in May he lets us know, like, because obviously he's got to do training camp 2 months prior that he's fighting, let's say, Saunders, and then same thing in September. I mean, that's better because the fans are more informed. So for this, last year we didn't know that he was fighting for like the entire year. Now he just fought this guy, and what's the English guy that he just beat?
Callum Smith.
Callum Smith. Now he's okay. Yildirim. That's unexpectedly. I mean, it's not the greatest opposition, but it's just to get some news in regarding Canelo. I mean, that's kind of unexpected. So quick of a turnaround time. Now, okay, he's fighting in February.
Okay, but
that's
the
just
fight
right around the corner.
Right. That's the thing. Here's my issue. My issue. I don't have an issue actually. I don't mind this fight, just because I know he's gonna be fighting 3 times a year. So he says, right? And so
Yeah.
this is like Chavez. Remember when Chavez had these fights in Mexico with like nobodies? Basically, they were just war. What would you call them? Not even tune-up fights. Just warm. Stay sharp. Yeah.
Stay busy. Yeah.
Stay
Tune-up
busy
fights.
Yeah. So what's the problem? I mean, if he fights it, okay, fine. I'm not gonna be excited. I think the odds are 14-1.
You can't take tough competition after tough competition. It'll wear you out. It'll break you down. Then you need to. If you're gonna face somebody tougher, you probably need to rest and have a special training camp. I mean, how many months does he get to prepare? Like 6 weeks?
Yeah, I guess. When was the fight? Early November, mid-November.
Yeah, so it's in February.
Yeah, 2.5 months almost. Let's say.
coming off the holidays, there's a reason why nobody fights on the early part of the calendar, the first 3 months, because everybody's coming off the holidays and stuff like that.
Kenshiro says Canelo deserves a tune-up fight to chill. I mean, yeah. Although, how, like, chill from what? Because I know he fought Callum Smith, who's a very good fighter. But it's not like Canelo. To me, it doesn't look like he struggled in that fight. So, how much of a tune-up does he need? Like, he needs to rest, or he needs an easy fight now? But listen, he's gonna be fighting Billy Joe Saunders in May. That's for sure. Because from what I understand, he's fighting twice on the zone or with Matchroom. So basically, he's fighting on the zone again after the Yildirim fight. The question is, who will he fight in May? Well, I think there's only two options. There's either Billy Joe Saunders or Golovkin. And in my opinion, I think he will fight Saunders at the end of the day in May. And I mean, that's a good fight. Listen, there's not a lot of options for Canelo at this point.
And you know, it's an easy paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, I think we lost Gonzalo.
The gym, so it's an easy payday. I remember when Chavez he became older, he did like a round robin where he fought for to try to get some money when he was. Well, why not do it while you're in your prime? If you're gonna have to face like two tough fights where if you don't, the fans are gonna criticize you. Well, fight 3-4 times. That way you can collect some money while you're still in your prime, and you don't have to exhibit yourself like when you're not at your best, trying to cash out. You know,
Right.
cash out while you're still a live dog, and collect your money, but still fight the tough fights that the fights want you to see. So they won't be bitching, but then most importantly, so you'll do it for your legacy.
Yeah, good
Hey, can
point.
I interject here?
Yeah, then we'll take a phone call. Go ahead.
First of all, hello everybody, and yes, indeed, BDA fan appreciation day. Of course, shout out to everybody in the chat room. You guys make this episode, I mean, this whole endeavor fun to do. The reason why I think Canelo's fighting this guy, I suspect, because I think they used to be sparring partners. I think this guy. I think not only does Canelo want to get this as a mandatory out of the way, but I also think he wants to like give the guy a payday or something. I think they're friends or something, or maybe he took a liking to the guy during training camp or whatever. Because I don't see what the point. I hear people saying, well, it's because he wants to keep the title so he can become undisputed. We just saw Josh Warrington, and hopefully we can talk about this later, Bucho, but Josh Warrington just said screw you to the IBF. He's not going to be fighting Katie Galahad again, who I believe was a mandatory for the title, and saying, you know, screw you, I don't want this. I want to take on Gary Russell Jr. or the Chinese guy, which would be better fights than the guy he already beat. And I think that's Canelo's in that position too. In fact, he was having a bit of a tense moment a couple of years ago or months ago with the WBC. So this is a guy that doesn't need the titles. He doesn't need a title to become bigger. The counter argument is that, well, it's because casuals, when they see that the word champion in the marquee, they will be attracted, which I agree. But not when it comes to a guy like Canelo. You know, Canelo could fight. Look, listen, here's my thing. If Canelo vacates whichever belt he's got and he fights, let's say, Benavides, is that fight any less because Canelo doesn't have a paper strap around his waist?
No.
His waist? Come on.
I mean, Canelo's at a point where these belt organizations, they want Canelo to hold their belt. Canelo's not gonna be chasing these people. I mean, they're gonna be chasing. They're chasing him now, and so they will. I mean, if Canelo wants an extension or something, they will give it to him, or they will try to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But I do agree with you and Gonzalo, and I've said this before too, that if Canelo plans on fighting this guy in February, March, whatever it might be, and then he's going to take on a bigger, better opponent 2 or 3 months later, that's fantastic. I just fear that he might get injured or something, because again, Yildirim is not as skilled as Canelo, nowhere near, but he is a big blockhead. The guy's strong, man, and you never know. You could break your hand on top of his big ass skull, or pull a muscle, or anything can happen in a fight, even if it's a fight that we don't see as being competitive. Mm-hmm. Chris Eubank he's an underrated puncher, man. He had to whack Yildirim a couple of times to finally get him out of there. So Canelo's gonna have to work to get the stop. It's gonna be easy from a technical standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, he's gonna have to exert himself. So there's a bit of a danger there for him.
Yeah, he wanted to fight in Mexico, but that didn't happen. So that would have been nice for him to, or to fight somewhere else, in Europe or something, so people can see his fight. But
Right.
now that's anyways, let's take a phone call because this guy has been waiting for a
Okay.
while. 917, you're on the air. 917. Don't tell me I fucked up the sound. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Happy Friday, everyone. This is David calling from New York. How are you, BDA?
Yeah, this is Bucho, but I'm doing well, man.
All right, good to hear. So I get to the end of the work week, and nothing sucks more than when you check the boxing schedule and we have no fights coming up this weekend. And this is really the sad thing about boxing is we have 3 promotional companies. We have PBC, we have The Zone, and ESPN, and we have 12 months with all these fighters. There easily could be a way for them to fill the schedule to give us boxing all year long. For example, The Zone, they put on events all throughout December and early January. And this time of year, we just have a complete drought. I think PBC could, step in for a few months. Like, give us Pacquiao, where's he been? Give us Wilder, where's he been, And then we're going to have Joe Smith Jr. with ESPN. But what I'm trying to say is, throughout, the 12 months of the year, if each promotional company just stop trying to mess with each other's schedule. So, we have times where, in December, we'll have, 3 big fights all on the same Saturday. Why not space them out so we don't go through periods where there's no fights?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. There's something about January and February that these 2 months nobody wants to touch. Sort of like August and July,
January's
late July.
bad for advertising.
I don't even remember
Well,
the.
listen,
Go ahead.
we did have a couple of fights that fell through. Fortunately, though, again, you know me, I'm the glass half full type of guy. I do agree, though, with David's point. I mean, I do think boxing. I think we all agree that boxing could be managed better, and the potential that it could have to become. I don't know if it's ever going to become as mainstream as it was in the 40s and the 30s and after that, but it could certainly be better than it is now. Look, we do have Caleb Plant versus Truex coming up. It's not fucking Canelo versus Triple G3, but it's a fight. Right. Well, I mean, it's already January 22nd. So then on February 13th, good news, Jojo Diaz versus the guy's Eastern European undefeated guy whose name I'm not even going to try to spell, but who's pretty good. That fight was supposed to have been postponed because the Soviet guy had tested positive for COVID, but then they retested him. Turns out it was negative. So the fight is back on. Then a week later, we got Burchell versus Valdez, a fight that I'm looking forward to. And Gonzalo, real quick, are you looking forward to that one as well?
Yeah, barn burner for sure.
Right. Then we got Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton. Herring is not an entertaining fighter, but this is a big fight between 2 recognizable names for us boxing fans. And then finally on February 27th, that same day, you got Alvarez versus Yildirim. But what I'm trying to get at here, caller, is that boxing ain't doing that bad. And we got Estrada versus Chocolatito, which has been formally announced by The Zone for March the 13th. So obviously, yeah, I would like to see a little bit more boxing from a weekend to weekend standpoint. But for the moment, we got some interesting things to look forward to, man.
I guess we'll all just watch UFC tomorrow, and then the week after, Caleb Plant's going to come back. So, and like you said, all the boxing should be, the schedule should be opening up again. Do you guys know who Brendan Lee is? This kid from California?
Nope.
The name sounds familiar, but no, not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard of him.
He's branded as an Asian, as an Asian American / Mexican fighter. Young guy. 22 years old. You can check him out on Showtime. But one thing I thought was kind of weird was I thought it was kind of funny / weird. They try to promote him by saying, "Brain of a Korean, heart of a Mexican." I don't know how I feel about that because you're saying only Mexicans have heart and only Koreans have brains. And I don't. Why go with that? Why go with such a stereotype? For an Asian American guy. Why do that?
That's a great point.
Yeah, I think
that's a great point, man.
Yeah. That's what I get with this. All these guys are tough. Well, who isn't tough? I mean, there's tough people all over the place, and there's weak people all over the place. It's yeah. It's trying to.
You know what it is, and I can say this as a Mexican, so nobody can really accuse me of being racist or anything. And it's not racist, by the way, but it's also been used as a marketing angle for Mexican promoters and for Mexican fighters to say we get the heart of a Mexican, to say that, and it's true. Look, you do have a lot of the stereotypes are real to a certain extent because you do see certain patterns within your life that makes you realize, okay, I understand why this stereotype exists. And Mexicans as a whole, they do tend to be a little bit tougher. But like you said, it's like that, there's Filipinos that are fucking tough, there's Colombians that are fucking tough, you know what I mean?
That's like saying Inoue, brain of Inoue, just because he's Asian. Now, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Brain
and you know what else
Morales.
Sorry, you know what else I hate is when a Mexican fights a Mexican American, and the Mexican says that the guy who lives in Mexico says, "Oh, he's not a real Mexican because he doesn't live in Mexico." It's like even Eric Morales, and I love Eric Morales. I mean, I was a big fan of his back in the day. I don't love the guy, but big fan of his in the day. And he used to say that. He says, "Well, look, you can't be a Mexican. You can't call yourself Mexican and live somewhere else. You have to eat in Mexico, live in Mexico." And I suppose he also forgot to say shit in Mexico. But look, the point is, they have that little war too between Mexicans and Mexican Americans. Even when
remember when he clowned Velarde, BDA, Velarde is a Chicano. When he fell to the canvas, he ridiculed him.
Let me ask the caller, are you, just for the context of the story, are you Asian or like what are like
Jewish?
All right.
Take him off the call. I don't want to hear him.
That's why I get so mad.
Shout out to
I
Bob
get so mad when Kevin from Chicago calls in and talks all this crazy shit, about Bob Arum. I get so mad. I hate it.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't called in a while, so.
Well, he hasn't talked about that issue. His anti-Semitism hasn't come.
But you know what it is with Kevin from Chicago? Ever since he won Caller of the Year, he's resting on his laurels now. He's not putting in.
It's gone to his head.
Yeah.
But anyways, David, anything else?
No, I'm good. You guys have a good weekend, all right?
You too, man. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
That was David, who says the chat is a piece of shit. You might have.
Wait, did he say that?
No, he usually goes in. He's like, all these people, all the haters in the chat.
Oh.
So, yeah. Chris K, thank you for your contribution. He says, how about that famous French toughness? Oh, yeah. You got to talk to Stu about that. We don't say.
And by the way, I know some people are going to say, well, what about Marcel Cerdran or Cerdan? I forget exactly how the last name was pronounced, but people say, oh, he wasn't technically from France. He was from Algeria, I believe. So technically, they can't, nobody can really shoot down Chris K's scathing comment about the French resistance. I'm pretty sure Stu would agree with him too, by the way. But
BDA, there was a fighter named Fernando Velardes, and Eric Morales. When he knocked him out, he's a Chicano from San Bernardino, California. When he knocked him out, he clowned him because he was a Mexican American. I remember. To your point. Sorry. Continue on what you were saying.
That's okay, man. Yeah. By the way, Bucho, can you hear me properly? Because I just changed something here in the sound.
Now it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, Juan Manuel Marquez, when he fought Juan Diaz too, he was like, "Oh yeah, man, he's not real Mexican. I'm the real Mexican." I'm thinking, what's like, guy gave you the fight, one of the best fights of your life. Like, does he still believe that just because the guy was born in the U.S., it was going to make him less tough? I mean, it's a pretty bizarre but I don't understand. To David's point, that's what they do, man. The promoters and the boxers, they use that to promote themselves. Like, oh yeah, Mexicans, heart of a champion, and nobody has a heart like a Mexican. I mean, I don't know. I look at a guy like these Eastern Europeans. They're pretty tough too. Filipinos are fucking tough as hell as well. I guess it has to do with the social
boxing. Like even back in the days, how come you had like Italian Americans, a lot of Italian Americans boxing champs, even Jewish, Irish, and now you don't see them in that much anymore because they don't need to box anymore. Like back then there was a way to get out of poverty, right? And so a lot of these guys were usually also immigrants, recent immigrants, and and they got into boxing. And, things have changed now, and now you have different demographics that are getting into boxing. But you look at these Europeans, I mean, they're white, and they're in there fighting and beating everybody, so things change, man. People get stuck too much in the present. That's the thing. Yeah, people get stuck in the present, and then they think that, well, what is now has always been and ever will be. It's like, well, I mean, you need to open your mind, man. And just start looking at history.
Like in New York, in those areas, like the family members probably got established with businesses. I'm not saying that they're all pizza shops, but the Italians and whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
So now the kids are the kids. They're more successful, right? They got better lives.
Yeah, they don't need to. Yeah, exactly. And also, boxing is not the number one sport anymore. You don't have a gym in every corner in certain neighborhoods, so it's not easy for some people to get into boxing. And also, again, the need to get into boxing is no longer there. But yeah, go ahead.
That brings up the question of. By the way, we got an incoming super chat, but real quick. Well, actually, I'll read it.
Hello, can you hear me?
If I may. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
The shout out to John Gonzalez, which just donated the super chat. He says the legendary toughness of Mexican the legendary toughness of Mexican Canadians. Hey, listen, I gotta put up with you guys' bullshit all the time. So yeah, I guess it does represent that. This show is a representation of my toughness, my Mexican Canadian toughness against the.
You can't ask the question.
But hold on. Before we do that, just an example of what I gotta put up with. Jack Napier in the chat room says, "Wasn't the first gay boxer Mexican?" And then Chris Gonzalez says, "Jack Napier, you mean BDA?" I mean, come on. See what I gotta put up with? Anyway, shout out to John Gonzalez and the rest of the degenerates in the chat room.
BDA, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
You know how Mexicans are tough and stuff. Does that help you in the industry as well? At being
Absolutely,
Mexican?
man.
Do certain races are able to perform compared to other races?
Well, let me tell you something. I'm not gonna say which races, but I think I just did. But there's certain races that just can't keep up with the pace that's required for multiple takes within a performance. But look, anybody that steps in front of the camera, butt-ass naked, in front of a crew, really does deserve praise for their toughness.
That's right. Brian, are you there?
I heard there.
I'm here.
How have you been drinking?
Since 5 o'clock. Not too bad.
All right. What were you drinking last time? Jack and Coke?
Jack Daniels and Coke.
Yeah.
No, it's just Jack Daniels.
Yeah, that's a nice combo, man.
Oh man.
Hey Brian, since we're on the subject of these race and boxing, I mean, it's not really race; it's about nationality in this case. What do you think about that when people say, "Well, Mexicans, they got the heart of the champion, and this race or nationality, they have this attribute and that attribute"? Do you think it's all played out, or do you think there's a certain truth to these statements?
I think it depends on the fighter. Like not every Mexican has a tear tough chin. I think it just depends on the individual fighter. Like, I've watched a lot of Mexicans over the years get knocked out, and at the same point, I've watched a lot of Mexicans that have a lot of heart, guts, determination, and are tough. I think it just depends on the individual fighter,
Yep.
Just not Mexicans. I see a lot of guys that have had heart, gotten up from the canvas, gotten beaten, and come back and taken it. So it just depends on the individual fighter. Some guys have it mentally. Some guys are mentally tough and they can take a beating and then come back, and some guys can't. Simple as that.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point. Remember when, because we don't usually see people making it racial. Boxers, that is. I mean, fans, of course, we know there's a whole demographic out there that loves to make it racial. But I don't know if you guys remember, there's a couple of instances that where fighters sort of lost their way and made their opinions known. When De La Hoya was about to fight Whitaker, Pernell Whitaker, that is, and I think De La Hoya said, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I think he said, I'm going to go to the body against him because black boxers can't take it to the body. And That was in
Yeah.
1997, so it wasn't as politically correct as he probably would have been jailed for saying that now. But back in the day, he just got in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Remember the joke. This is not boxing. Remember the joke Robin Williams made about Tiger Woods
No, I don't.
about the Asian concentration and the African athleticism. You know, a German geneticist couldn't, make that shit up.
Well, it's interesting because there's a bit of a misconception when it comes to Bernard Hopkins. Remember when he told Joe Calzaghe, I will never let a white boy beat me. People were like, oh, he didn't get in trouble. I remember he did get in trouble. The reporters were grilling him during the press conferences. They kept asking, what did you mean by that? Like, obviously they knew what he meant, and you could tell that he was getting flustered and that his publicist was like, next question. So yeah, I think people say, well, boxing is racial, but it's not openly racial anymore from the boxers, because now everybody's keeping a lid on it, it seems. And I also think that a lot of boxers, at least in my experience, in my gym, we make fun of all the races, of each other's races, because we know we're friends and we're friendly and we can do that. It's not like in the military. Gonzalo, you could probably speak on that because you were in the military. That's usually how you bond, right? As men, like you bust each other's balls about whatever it is you can grasp on, right?
Yeah. We'll even throw people into the trash can.
Well, and there you go. And this shows a representation.
Would you give them swirlies as well? Like put the head in the toilet.
Okay, what the fuck, man?
Can I read a super chat? John Gonzalez, thank you for your contribution. He says the Irish have the livers of champions. That's right. And then Chris K, thank you for your contribution. He says, don't forget Asian porn legend Long Duk Dong or something. I'm pretty sure that's a joke. But thank you, Chris. Anyways, this show's getting out of control here.
Hey, one thing I've been meaning to play, if we ever decide to do a racial show again, just to get the ratings, there is that clip from the old Chris Rock show on HBO, and I think it was 97, 98, and they went to a gym in Brooklyn, I believe, or something, and they were like, the joke was, can white boys box? And all these, I don't know if they put him up to it, but all the black fighters were like, no, there's never been a great, like, there's no great white boxers. And, they were doing the old joke that you had to go all the way back to Marciano. Blah, blah, blah. Huh?
Yeah.
In the Chris Rock show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I remember that.
It's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Okay.
It seemed to me, did you guys think that they were playing it up a little bit, or do you think they were being serious?
They're serious.
I think they're serious. I think they're serious. I think to the point where they see white boys more flat-footed, straight up, that type of boxer, where they see Africans more athletic and more skilled in that way.
That's not even. That's just yeah. But that's American blacks.
Is it at the time? Unfortunately, maybe white fighters in that small little period might not have been performing as well as black fighters in terms of wins and belts potentially. That's what they were using.
Well, that's
that period.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's never been a white. What was what were you saying?
Like, can white guys box? There's a difference between boxing and fighting.
Yeah, but they're claiming
so. They mean technically are white guys any good at boxing? I think that's the way they played that. Or that's the way Chris Rock played that.
Well, the funny thing, if you think about it, up until a year ago, the two best heavyweights were both black guys, and right now the best heavyweight is the white guy. So make of that what you will.
Well, you know what? It's interesting though. Yeah, in the 90s it was Mexicans and blacks all the way. Yeah, but it's interesting that this whole race thing on YouTube started once the Soviet bloc disintegrated and the remnants actually started making an entry into the professional world. Because in the 90s and even the early 2000s, if you took I don't know if you guys remember Kid Diamond from Uzbekistan, I believe, or Kazakhstan. Yeah, when he came out into the scene, he was like, "Whoa, who is this guy?" Like, he was a little bit like the proto Golovkin. That there were all these legends about who was this guy. I heard he dropped Corey Spinks in sparring, and I heard he gave Mayweather trouble. Blah blah blah. But then in the 2010s, that's when you saw Golovkin, Kovalev, all these Eastern Europeans coming out of the woodwork, and that's when it seems like that some races got into they start feeling threatened or something, and that I think that's where the whole strife
I got
happened.
my own theory also, but before that, I want to thank Chris Gonzalez in the chat for his contribution. He says, "Cause my January Patreon payment was declined. Pimping ain't easy." Oh, all right, man. Well, thank you then for making up for the Patreon payment. I don't know what happened with Patreon.
It all has to do with who trains you and where you're from, really. Because there's a lot of black guys in South America and in Africa, with the exception of Ghana, and they're not real prone to like fighting because they don't have the people that train you. If you're in a region where there's good trainers and there used to be good fighters, and you could pick up on the school that boxing is evolving, because now the fighters are privileged to having those that knowledge from the past. Man, anybody can be a good fighter. That got the skill. If you're born with the speed and the power, and you got the attributes, and you get trained, you can become a good fighter.
Yeah, you just need a good trainer and good sparring partners, and yeah, of course, a good gym, basically. But anybody can.
I do have a question. You guys are talking about Mexican fighters have heart. Now, I mean, in my opinion, it would be. I might be wrong, but I would have used the term Latino or Hispanic. I mean, what about Roberto Duran? Obviously, he was a Mexican. He was, from Panama and Felix Trinidad. I mean, do you guys just think just Mexican fighters, or you don't really rate other Latino or Hispanic countries?
He was half Mexican, first of all. But yeah, see, that's
it's a half Mexican.
Yeah.
Argentinians are tough as fuck, from what I hear. Argentinians got a good chin. It has a little bit to do with it. Look, like the runners from the desert over there in Africa, they're long distance. The Mexicans are known for marathon walking. There's people that are inclined to do better in certain things because of the region and the weather, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? It also has to do though, because look, anybody that comes from a third world country and who has to from these South American countries, they usually get into the sport as professionals to make money. They're not in there for the amateur titles. They weren't there when they had to get in there young to make a living and to earn money to eat. So they're fighting with a certain amount of desperation that you might not see from somebody who's got options outside the ring. That being said, there's also something to consider with Mexicans that might explain why it could be true that they are tougher than other countries, and that is because the Mexicans have that tradition of boxing. They have that long tradition that some feel they have to uphold, and that might explain why some of them do fight harder than others. Although, again, it's not all Mexicans, and of course, there's exceptions, but usually the exceptions tend to prove the rule. That's what some people say. By the way, shout out to that guy who says, "Is Canelo versus Charlo a classic?" LOL. Well, hopefully, I mean, I'd like to see that fight. I don't know that guy. But by the way, so shout out to that guy for his contribution. What's that?
What, a classic joke?
Listen, Canelo has a lot of options.
That fight will only happen if Charlo moves up to 160 in Illinois. So
he would do it.
I don't think Canelo moving down to 160.
No.
For that fight to happen, so I don't see that fight happening.
What happened if Canelo cleans up 168? Could he move back down again, or you think he might go up?
Nah, he can't move back down again. He can't move.
I think he's going to retire. He probably retire after that.
Hey, by the way, since we're talking about nationalities, I just wanted to ask. I see we got the recognize and the recognize. What is going on with the Puerto Ricans? Because they're about as good. They're a Hall of Fame when it comes to boxing. The tradition of boxing. And these last 10 years, what's going on?
Dry spell. It's called a dry spell. I don't know. I guess they like baseball a lot now. I mean, even though they've been kind of taken over by like Dominicans in Venezuela, but there's this new crop of Puerto Rican baseball players that I'm talking about from Puerto Rico, right? The ones that are coming from there. But remember, it's a small island.
Who was the last great one? Camacho?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who was the last great Puerto Rican boxer? Would you say Hector Camacho?
Cotto.
Well, no. Who was the best? You saying? Wait, I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, who was the best Puerto Rican boxer in the? It has to be Miguel Cotto.
Who was the last?
But
the last.
Here's the thing.
Oh, you talking about in the last decade? Yeah, it was him.
Recognize.
Yeah.
I think that Puerto Rico, they need another like Tito Trinidad to start getting kids back in the gym, right? I mean, because when you have a champion that you look up to, then you want to try to imitate that, right? And
Yes, especially in
that's
Puerto Rico, a little island like that. Remember, it's like 3 million people in Puerto Rico. So you think about like somebody with his kind of personality and the kind of attentions that he drew. There was a lot of fighters coming out, but not a lot of them made it out of that. Or they made it to the pros, but they weren't as popular as him or as successful, right? So there's a lot that plays into that. I mean, what you got to say is that, or at least for me, considering how small Puerto Rico is, they have some pretty legendary fighters for its population. If you think about the population, 3 million, 2 million, whatever it is, it's pretty popular. I mean, they did pretty good for being that kind of population. Is what I meant to say.
Yeah, per capita.
You know what though? With the by the way, I wanted to ask Recognize, what's the slang for baseball in Spanish?
Slang?
Yeah, there's got to be like a short, like in Spanish football, instead of saying football, we sometimes say foot. Hey, guess what foot? You know, so
I know pelota. Like
yeah.
So what is the conversation like then when somebody goes, hey, you want to be a boxer? And like, no, yo quiero jugar pelota.
Pelota, hombre. Nah, brother. Yo voy a jugar pelota. Because you know they say everything real slow.
Right.
Yo voy a jugar pelota, brother.
Hey, would you be afraid though if you asked your son you want to box and not only did he say quiero jugar pelota, he says you quiero jugar con pelotas. You know what I mean? Pelotas peludas. That's I would go, look, listen, I don't want son, I want you to go to a re-education camp or something because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Hey, my oldest son was never into boxing, but he'll kill you. Like, my son is a huge man. He's fucking 6'4", about 230. He's just like, I think he's just naturally built that way. He's like, no, I just like baseball. But if he grabs somebody, he punch someone, you know, he could hurt you. But you know, obviously, because he doesn't box, he doesn't understand the technique. So somebody could take advantage of him in the long haul. But if he gets you right there, you're finished.
So you didn't get your son into boxing?
Didn't you see? I you know, when he was around me, I would show him how to throw his punches, his combinations. But he ended up staying with his mom more and shit like that. I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff that went there, but he loved baseball. He ended up loving baseball. He's half Dominican too, right? So his mother's Dominican. He spent a lot of time with his mother's side, and they love baseball.
Yeah.
You know, so he could tell the kid almost made it. You know what I'm saying? He almost made it to the pros.
Is there such a thing as baseball scholarships in the U.S. or?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Damn.
You could have played up the minority angle, man. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everybody loves you say you're Dominican, or half Dominican, or Venezuelan, or Puerto Rican, and you got height like that. You're a fucking sick. You're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". You know, they like shit. You might be the next A-Rod.
That's what happens with soccer, man. Soccer, football. Like when you're Brazilian or Argentinian, like these European clubs, they just fucking buy them. Like, oh yeah, maybe we get the next Ronaldinho or whatever.
Yes, they do that same thing in baseball.
Messi, Ronaldo,
Yeah, of course.
Well,
So in Puerto Rico, the culture, baseball's always been big in Puerto Rico. You know, you think of Roberto Clemente, a couple other famous stars from Puerto Rico, and you associate that with baseball. But it seemed like then boxing had its moment for a while, and now lately, like the last 20 years, baseball is back at the forefront in PR.
Is Puerto Rico becoming more liberal?
Oh, it's always been. Yeah, I mean, I think more so now. So now, yeah.
That might be affecting it. But yeah,
Puerto
Rico, they need to. We need another Puerto Rican champion. That's for sure. It's weird though. Like,
I mean, Berlanga, right? He's a New York Rican, really, right? He's Puerto Rican, but from New York.
Camacho was.
Like
LA.
Camacho. Camacho was actually
Yeah.
born in Puerto Rico, but he was raised in Harlem, Spanish Harlem.
Right.
Do you class him as a Puerto Rican or do you class him as an American?
Yeah.
Recognize.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was on mute. Go ahead, guys.
Do you class Hector Macho Camacho as a Puerto Rican or do you class him as an American?
No, he's kind of associated with Puerto Rico. Like, think about that. If you think back in that time when he came out, like basically being born in Puerto Rico but raised in New York, he was Puerto Rican. He is like, he's Puerto Rican. That's it.
But what
But
about
today there's a
Berlanga?
difference.
What about Berlanga?
Berlanga will get the Puerto Rican crowd because there's been a drought, right?
Well, why
And-
didn't
and
Danny
he
get
come-
it?
Say again?
Why didn't Danny Garcia get? It just feels to me like he never got really the full Puerto Rican
No,
support.
yo, listen, man. Like, and I mean this. I mean this playing around, but Philadelphia got nothing on New York, man. They don't. You know, we the real ones. We the real pioneers. Most of those Puerto Ricans are dudes that couldn't handle New York, and they said, "Let me go to Philadelphia." You know, that type of thing, and turn it to a big ghetto.
So if
And,
Danny Garcia would have been from Brooklyn or somewhere.
Nah, I'm only playing. If Daddy would have been from Brooklyn, and he never represented Puerto Rico, if you really think about it, did he really ever like?
No,
I'm doing this
did
for
he
my
ever wear the
Ricans.
flag? Maybe he had a little flag on his trunks. He did have that fight
Like once or
against-
twice, right?
Yeah, you're right. He never played the Puerto Rican angle.
He never really did. Berlanga might do that, but he kind of reminds me of Danny Garcia in the sense he's more American. You know, he's more like I'm from New York type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He might
Think-
get away
things
with
like-
that because Puerto Ricans outside of Puerto Rico associate fellow Ricans from New York.
Yeah, it's more acceptable nowadays too.
Or
If you think about
Florida.
the Mexican Americans
Is it
repping
like
the
a-
Mexican flag.
Yeah, a Mexican from, let's say, California. Then you have a Mexican from, I don't know,
Texas.
Texas.
They
Hey,
get,
during Oscar De La Hoya fought that guy, I can't remember his bloody name. I think it was with M, and the guy was saying, "You're a disgrace to the Latinos. They all support me." Blah
Mayorga.
blah blah.
Mayorga.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
Mayorga. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand as if you're Hispanic or Latino, whatever phrase you guys wish to use, but you don't speak Spanish. You don't know the difference between a burrito and a burger. You don't know nothing about your heritage. Then I can understand somebody saying, you're whitewashed. But if you speak the language at home, you know your culture, you know this and that. Just because you live in a different country, are you really then say people can say you're not Mexican? That to me I find is wrong.
Wait, hold on. The Brotherhood saying this show is racist right now. I think he's calling 719. You're on the air.
Oh,
719.
You gotta talk about how racist we are.
I think y'all losing it, man. Y'all really losing it. It's a beautiful day.
That's right.
Y'all talking some racist shit right now. As soon as I call in, y'all must have just waited till I called in to start.
Let's
dissing
talk
Puerto
race.
Rico
Let's talk
and
race,
shit.
but
Like,
keep the
what's
blacks
up
out of
with
it
that?
so they won't get offended. We can talk race about Puerto Ricans and other guys. It's cool.
What seems to be the
So
problem?
gotta get
racist. It
sensitive
doesn't
about
matter.
it.
We're all human. We're all brothers and sisters. Like, what are you guys talking about?
So why do you call Crawford a white boy then?
Well, Crawford is from Nebraska, so he's technically white, but that has nothing to do
That
with
makes
what
no
you're
sense.
We will regain the title.
All right.
Y'all really lost it, man. Y'all finally realized y'all don't know shit about boxing, so y'all talking about baseball now. Like, I'm glad. I'm happy to see where the show's going because the further y'all go away from boxing, the better.
But yet you're
right.
still calling up though.
We're going to end up like the LDBC. Holy shit.
He loves the race talk, brotherhood. By the way, somebody sent me a screen cap. I don't know how they found these things, but somebody sent me a screen. Apparently, there was an article, a YouTube video. They were talking about this kid, and I'm talking kid, like 5 years old or something. He wandered off into somebody's lawn and the guy shot him. He shot I think a 5-7-year-old kid. And there's somebody sent me that in the comment section you actually see Brotherhood in there saying, "Good, he shouldn't have stepped on the guy's lawn." so this is the type of guy we're dealing with here. The guy, the moral compass of the world is the guy who believes.
Hey, Brotherhood, I know nothing about baseball, so I'm just listening to these guys about it. So.
Yeah, Terrence Crawford, he just black on the outside, but on the inside, he's 100% Nebraskan. That makes him white.
All right, Butcho, get this guy out of here, man. It's a fan appreciation show, not the Brotherhood appreciation show.
Wait, let's take another phone call because maybe he wants to say something to the Brotherhood. 609, you're on the air. 609. Yes, 609. Going once, going twice. All right. Hi, Brotherhood.
He shook.
So, Brotherhood, what's the issue here?
You talking about the comments I made on that little boy getting smoked in the front yard? I don't actually feel that way. I was just mocking the same people that see Trayvon Martin or George Floyd, they get killed and shit, and then people are celebrating their death. So I was just playing the other side, showing people how it feels for somebody in your race to get mocked when they,
Why do you see everything in Why do you see everything in racial lines? Why do you see everything along racial lines, though?
I don't see everything. I just like I like the troll from the other side of the fence, so people can see how it feels. And then they had the same reaction that black people have when you do the same type of trolling to them. So and then they don't figure out that it's some fucked up shit to do until you actually do it.
What was the trolling with George Floyd? Everyone was protesting against that.
I mean,
got to the point where I didn't see any BDA posters.
I saw a lot of white people
were everywhere
shit.
in London.
Yeah, there was a lot of white people protesting because of
Do you
the
know
George
how many
Floyd thing.
people just called Trayvon a thug and all of this extra shit just because he
But
was
it's not mainstream.
smoking?
That's not
That
mainstream.
wasn't
mainstream, man.
That's not mainstream.
I don't know if you watch
Brotherhood, that
CNN.
wasn't a contract case. Come on, man.
Yeah, look, go watch CNN and tell me if that's not mainstream. That's mainstream.
Yeah, that's not main. First of all, what he's talking about is individuals saying that, but that's not mainstream. If you say that to,
It is,
like, if you go on Twitter, if you
That's
go to
mainstream.
Twitter and you say any of that stuff, they ban you. And
Yeah.
if they find out who you are, you'll lose your job. That's a fact.
So you mean to tell me that?
But
Go ahead.
It's the mainstream media putting this stuff out in the to the forefront. They putting it in the public. They the ones posting Trayvon Martin with a wife beater on and some gold teeth in his mouth, like we all don't watch TV and want to be like these rappers every now and then. Like that doesn't define a person, but they want to use that same type of shit to try to demonize somebody that just got killed and shit like that. So yeah, I do like to troll and play the other side and show the mainstream
Hold on. All right, we get the point. We get the point, Brotherhood. Hold on.
The mainstream media and all these corporations are on BLM's side. So when the corporations and the mainstream media and all these big networks are on your side, you're not the side that's being disparaged and that's being disenfranchised. Right. So with that being said, let's move the fuck on, Puchu, because I mean, this
move on.
fucking BDA.
We're talking about baseball and he's just complaining.
Wait, who's your? I want to ask Brotherhood a question. Who's your favorite Puerto Rican boxer?
Good question.
My favorite Rican, Danny Garcia, if he actually counts.
Yeah, he counts. He counts.
He actually is my top 5 favorite boxer.
All right.
Danny Garcia's in your top 5 favorite?
He's been in my top 5 since I started watching boxing full time. When he knocked out Amir Khan, I was hooked.
It's like it's a job or something. Yeah.
Amir Khan, it was his when he knocked out Amir Khan, that made him a fan.
Well, it made a fan. Listen. I was rooting for Danny Garcia in that fight because Amir Khan was, and you know what else I disliked was the fact that HBO were dick riding Amir Khan to
Hell
know.
yeah.
And they were actually grilling them. They were what?
And did you see Amir Khan's fans during
If he didn't
one of
knock
the
out
talks?
Amir Khan, I wouldn't have been surprised.
I
would've been
I
surprised,
knew that fight was 50-50 going in, and I was surprised that the HBO guys were making it seem as if, Khan's the big favorite here. I'm thinking, did you not see that the Garcia's got heavy hands and he can counter, man? I mean, and we knew Khan was chinny, so I don't. But anyway, that's HBO, man. Back in the day, they were trying to push Amir Khan as like the.
Yeah, they were biased too. HBO was biased.
They were trying to make him out to be as De La Hoya, like a British De La Hoya, and no, that wasn't going to fly, man. But you know what? It's interesting though. Now that the book has turned the other way, and it's like, oh well, Amir Khan completely sucked. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. There was a stretch there where it was either him or Timothy Bradley were considered the best 140 pounders in the world. So you don't get to that level by just being mediocre. You know what I mean? It's just the guy didn't have a chin, and subsequently he ended up in his ass.
I know Timothy Bradley didn't have any power, but I think he'd have knocked out Amir Khan. I always thought if they would have fought, he would have knocked him out. He'd have got outboxed, but then knock him out, like in the end.
Listen, if Amir Khan was the best at 140, that means there was no real competition at 140.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I disagree with.
He's
I
gotta be
disagree.
one of the fastest fighters ever, man. Amir Khan, blazing
Yeah.
hand speed in
Well, his hand
combination.
speed.
Yeah, but his chin was always in the air. Once I saw British press got that to him, I was like, okay, this guy has hand speed. He's got all the tools to be a good boxer, but you know, British press
Hey,
got just sparked him.
What was the name of that? What was the name of that local guy from England, the domestic guy that really hurt him in one fight?
You talking about?
Topane, Ashley Topane.
No.
The Mexican guy that hurt Khan.
Yeah, Mexican Irish Gomez or something like that.
Mexican Irish? What the type of?
I think it was half. Wasn't he half Mexican, half Irish? Or I'm
No,
thinking of someone else.
no. You're thinking about who did he fight? He fought a Scottish boy. You're thinking about Gomez, Michael Gomez.
DJ,
from
and yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, we're back. I don't know what the hell happened. I think we're back. Are we back? Yes, we are.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we're back. I don't know what the fuck
Yeah,
happened. My
weird, man.
connection fucking died.
It's
Literally, you're echoing.
It's gonna go away.
Yeah, it's gonna go away.
By the way, it's the Biden administration got to us. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen under Biden.
The new Biden administration. I want to say, did you hear him coughing the other day? Anyway, so where did we leave off? Because we're talking about Khan, right? Amir Khan and the he was good. That's what essentially was trying to get at. But see, that's interesting.
Why do you think he displayed a great chin when he fought Maidana? Because Maidana kind of wild and couldn't catch him square. I have to go back and watch the fight.
I think that's it, Gonzalo. It's also that, like we've talked about before, it's that different types of power that exist out there. If you look at when he was knocked out, Khan, that is, it was usually wiry type shots that got him out of there. Like Prescott had that type of power. Danny Garcia, people don't consider him quick, but compared to Maidana, he was like Sugar Ray Leonard in there. Maidana was a clubber. He would clubber you with caveman type shots. So that type of power was enough to hurt Khan, but it wasn't enough to like put him out and switch his lights off, have like Canelo or Garcia did. And that's what I think with Maidana with Khan. But the amount of times that he was hurt, like against Julio Diaz too, and Crawford. But then again, Crawford's a big puncher too. He's an underrated puncher. So, but by the way, Bucho, do you have the people on the stream yard?
I'm bringing him back and I'm opening the phone lines again.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
was it just me or did everybody drop?
No,
everybody.
Oh, okay. I was about to say my fucking phone. God damn.
Hey, whoa, what's with the language though? I understand.
Yeah, I apologize. There's kids watching.
I mean, I understand we're all frustrated, but there's no need for that type of salty language. Now,
I'm sorry. You're right.
that's okay. Now, listen, we were talking earlier about the type of fights that we've got coming up. We got Chocolatito versus Estrada 2 coming up, and the Burchelt versus Valdez fight. I'm curious.
I'll be
curious.
back.
I want to watch that fight. My initial impression is that Burchelt's gonna whoop this guy in the late rounds. It's gonna be like Margarito Cotto. No offense, recognize. But I see Valdez, although he's a power puncher, I think he's gonna wilt. Burchelt. Let me start. Can I start with Gonzalo? Because I'm curious. I want to do a film analysis. I'm really curious to hear what Gonzalo has to say about Burchelt. What do you think about Burchelt, Gonzalo? You think he's good? You think he's overrated? Like, what?
He's a solid dude. He's a strong guy for the division. I always compare him to like one of them Home Depot workers. You know, the Mexicans that are standing outside. They usually will go out and carry the buckets of cement in your house. But at the beginning of his career, he fought locally over there in the Mexican Peninsula, where he wasn't.
It appears that the host has already done.
Under the Stanford promotion, he wasn't really stepping out outside of his comfort zone, maybe because they couldn't give him the big money fights, or he was just building his name after beating Takashi Miura. That's who he beat, I think, back in the day. But obviously,
yeah.
What I see in the ring, he's the guy that puts you under pressure, and he hits hard with both hands. And he's not the fastest guy, and he's tough. I mean, he's been dropped once before, and he's young. He's like 29 years old, I think. I haven't actually like gone to Boxrec and seen his age, but I think he's like 29. So he's in his prime. He's barely stepping into where he's fighting for the big fights, and he's fighting another Mexican who's shown to have like I don't know, he's hittable. He doesn't have the greatest of defense, but he's training under the Reynosos now, but he's kind of resilient to where if he's been hurt in the past and he's got his nose broken, he has given good fights, exciting fights, and come out on top of those affairs. And in this last fight, in a fight that I didn't think he was going to get the knockout against a guy that I don't think had been knocked out before, he knocked out the guy. I think it's a Puerto Rican guy. So, I mean, he's resilient, and I think it'll show in this fight.
Sosa? You're talking about Sosa? Yeah, Sosa been stopped before, but he's still tough. Like, he's never been beat up like that.
Well, the same thing could be said about Valdez. He's resilient. He's tough, and he's got his nose broken. He's got defensive flaws, but he's always found the way. And like I said, I think Burchelt he's tough, but he's also like barely stepping into where he hasn't faced the greatest of competition. So there's gonna be it's gonna be a competitive fight, and I really don't know who's gonna win. I would have to slightly favor Burchelt, but I think Valdez is kind of underrated in the sense that he is resilient. He gives us good, exciting fights, and they're gonna hit each other. And I really don't know who's gonna win, but it's gonna be a great fight.
I think so.
And carried away, man.
No, that's okay, man. That's okay. Well, I'm curious to hear what everybody else has to say about that.
Good fight. Valdez is tough as nails. Burchelt is coming of age. Took a L early in his career. Looked like he's reinvented himself. He was young enough too to do that. So he looks like the more complete fighter. I think he beats Valdez, but Valdez is going to be there. He's going to be ready to, if for whatever reason, Burchelt is off and or just can't figure out Valdez, which I think he will, but let's just say he can't. You don't want to do that against Valdez because he'll keep fighting you and probably stop you. So it's a good fight. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. If anybody in the StreamYard or here has to say something, because I'd like to add something if none of you have anything to add right now.
But Burchelt, like Gonzalez said, is strong, and I've watched the Sosa fight, and this he punches sounded like cannons. So that's what I'm worried about Valdez. Like he will wilt because this guy can hit, man.
I was gonna say that I was rewatching his main fights. I love when you can hear the guy's shots. These guys they do sound like gunshots. And the thing is, they always say you gotta be loose when you punch. This guy, you can see he's gritting his teeth and he's what you're not supposed to do, which is like to be tight and everything. But despite all of that, his punches are like okay, Lomachenko is a bit of an underrated puncher when he goes to the body and all that. And he beat up Sosa, and they were right to stop that fight. But it went up until like the 9th round or something, I believe. Burchell just went in there against Sosa and just hit whatever he could, the body, the top of the head, whatever, and just butchered poor Sosa. It was like even Timothy Bradley, every time Burchell would go to the body, and you would hear that, and you could hear Bradley go, like he was, like he was getting
PTSD from the Provornikov fight.
Yeah, I think it was PTSD, man. But yeah, Burchell is strong, man. They usually say, well, physical strength doesn't play a factor in boxing. BS, man. There's Burchell is.
No, it does. It
That's
does.
such bullshit. Look at like
I hate
Malinovich,
when
for
people say that
example.
shit. It's like,
Skinny,
no, actually,
weak.
it does.
It does if you can get your
You can beat
technique with that strength.
what happens when you and the guy are equally skilled, but he's a little stronger than you? He wins, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that are physically strong, and and they throw a punch and it comes off weak because they don't know technique. If you know that technique and you can land that punch clean, and you can land it precise and with speed and with power, accuracy, physical strength is is a major key. I've been hit by guys who had technique and were physically strong, and I've been hit by guys that were physically strong and had no technique. And which one would I, you know what I mean? Like which is better to be hit? Well, I'd rather be hit by the guy that is physically strong with no technique.
Yes.
Any day of the week.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather be hit by a pair of tits. But with Burchell though, in this particular case, this guy, you can tell he's very okay. The thing that the Sosa fight, yeah, he did prove a lot. But the one that really convinced me was when he gave Francisco Vargas 2 shots, and Vargas, he's not the strongest guy in the world, but he has been able to overcome and bully. Like for example, a guy like Rod Salka, he just bullied poor Salka, or a guy like Will Tomlinson, who was from New Zealand or Australia, I believe, undefeated at the time, and Vargas just went in there and butchered them and cut him up and just busted them up on the inside. He takes on Burchell. Burchell actually outslugs him. And I think people don't understand how impressive that was. That I was expecting him to do that to Miura or to go head to head, but instead he switched it up and outboxed Miura. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. So it goes to show you this guy's a little bit. He's got some.
I was
some
impressed with that Miura fight because, I mean, maybe his movement looks a little off, but in terms of like how boxing and then slugging it out with him, he would do a little bit of both. I thought that was very impressive.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It was very it showed you that he's not just a guy that's willing to slugging works for me, so let me just do it against a big puncher like Miura, who was actually, like, compared to Vargas, he was stronger. When Miura fought Vargas, he was bullying him with the shots, but of course he ended up getting stopped by Vargas. But with the Burchell just said, screw that, I'm not going to go through that, I'm just going to outbox the guy. And again, like you said, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. So, but that's the thing. Going into the Valdez fight, Valdez is the quicker guy. He's got the better footwork. He's got the amateur pedigree. In terms of hurting Burchell, he's got a weapon in his arsenal, and it's that left hook. So he could potentially save that in the back of his. He could have it up his sleeve and hurt Burchell. Do you guys remember the Valdez?
Sorry, I was laughing at the latest comment by Lawrence. Made me laugh.
Go ahead, Kenshiro.
So I was laughing at the comment that Lawrence Lewin Bowen made about Brotherhood.
Okay, come on, man. What the fuck? I don't see the comment. What? Brotherhood, man. Oh, when me and brother were an item, I can only steal his liking. Oh, come on. Now, see, that's... You gotta... you should have said that when he was on the line. Do you guys remember the Valdez Quig fight?
Yeah, Quig was much bigger.
Yeah, Quig,
he was resilient. He busted up Quig, actually.
Quig
was much bigger in that fight.
I was drunk.
What was the fight that he got was it Quig, right? That he got his jaw
Yeah, it was Quig,
Yeah.
So that Quig fight is about the closest we have to Burchell, because Quig is strong, and he was almost a junior middleweight on Fight Night, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Or
Yeah,
It was
I think I missed.
141,
I missed that fight because I went out
141.
that night. So
Yeah, I think like something like 141. And the fact that Valdez won that fight despite having a fractured jaw, it did show. That was the best Valdez I've seen, by the way, at that point. But then again, Scott Quigg ended up losing his final fight of his career and retired. So there's a question of just how good he was really, and that poses the question: how good is Valdez? I think he's got a shot at beating Burchell, but he'd have to really box the perfect type of fight to come out of
yeah,
there.
I think he has to be perfect for 12 rounds against Burchell. You know, he's a slugger, decent boxer, good jab, good footwork. You know, but he's got that hook. That when Valdez throws that hook, it's a beautiful, beautiful shot. You know, and he will land on the shot. That's good. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I think Burchell will win, though. I think Burchell just outworks him. Burchell can also go on the back foot and box it, but you can make it a wee nasty wee fight too, you know. So, but that's a good fight.
It's a
maybe
good
a
fight,
split
man.
decision.
It's a yeah. Okay, well, you know, it's most people are gonna go for Burchell, but with Valdez, like he's got good movement, he's got that speed advantage and that big left hook. So, but the thing I don't like though, apology, I think you want to say something, but I think the left hook from Valdez just sometimes he slaps with his shots. What do you?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Also, I was going to say you can't rely on it too much because, you know, Burchell will pick up on it and start like going to the body or throwing a straight right hand. Like Valdez is going to have to show more tools, and he's also going to have to willing to fight Burchell. There'll be moments in the fight where Burchell will just have on the ropes or
that makes sense.
have it go war, like go toe to toe, whatever, and Valdez is going to have to be willing to fight back. I just don't think he will be able to. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's a good point there, apology, man. It's gonna if that's the thing though about Valdez, he tends to hook way too much. He's not he throws hook, left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. You're thinking, what the fuck are you doing, man? I mean, it's like it's interesting to think that this guy was a fucking Olympian, man, because some of the combinations are very, very basic. He doesn't even mix in some uppercuts in there. But like I said, against Quigg, it was good enough for him, for the way he fought. So I suspect he's going to try to do the same thing with Burchell. The thing about it is Burchell is this. We saw him outslug Vargas. We saw him outbox Miura. And we saw him just butcher poor Jason Sosa. Oh, and he also outslugged and outboxed Miguel Roman, who's a big puncher too. We've never seen him fight somebody who's got the faster hands like that. And when he fought Vargas, Vargas had faster hands than him, a better combination. Like Vargas is the most skilled fighter he's fought because Vargas does have craft. Like the way you see he mixes up his shots and all that. And Valdez is going to be the quickest guy he's ever fought, who can also crack a little bit. So it's going to be a very interesting fight, man. Bucho, I don't know if you what you want to do with that one, but
I think we're talking about that fight. And I just want to tell people in the chat that we have a second Renaissance show after this. Posted the link in the description. Sorry, in the description, in the chat, I should say. So, Mr. BDA, that's happening in like an hour, right?
That's right, yes.
Because I was talking. Yeah, Bucho asked a question about Valdez.
Sure.
Was he born in Mexico, right?
Yeah, Sonora.
Yeah, why is he not as big as he should be? Like, I don't hear a lot of Mexicans or you guys talking about Valdez, even though he only
Mexican fans are elitist. Right? Mexican fans are elitist.
I don't know.
I think what it is I think Mexicans can.
Mexican. He seems more American than Mexican, no? Maybe he was born in Mexico.
Yeah, think about how big Mexico is, right? Mexico has what's the population? 100 million plus, something like that, or close to it.
No, more. It's like 100, almost 200.
Okay.
What is it at now?
So no, it's like 150. Sorry, 160.
150 million. So there's a lot. They can be picky. They're not like us Puerto Ricans with 3 million people.
But it's interesting. Also, it's because I think most boxing fans recognize that the guy is not all that. Like when he was coming up and he was on the out of the Olympics, people were like, "Oh, who is this guy? Oh, Mexican Olympian? It's a rarity." But then even in his first fight on HBO, he didn't really impress all that much. He went the distance, and he's a limited fighter, man. I know he's with Reynoso's now.
Getting the Danny Garcia treatment?
A little bit, yeah, man. I mean,
you see, Danny Garcia for me was always solid, man. Always a solid dude. But boxing, I'm talking about, in the ring. He just didn't have, for some reason, they didn't gravitate to him. They just didn't.
Sorry, reckon at 130 million. I always include like the Mexican Americans. It's like
There's still a lot of people, right? 130 million. Shit.
Reckoners was going to say that's too many Mexicans. Anyway, the point is, but Valdez, I actually dare say Garcia overall is a better fighter. And not just because obviously he's done more than Valdez at this point in their careers, but because I think he's got a little bit more craft. Sometimes you do see Garcia just throwing hook after hook the way Valdez does. But he's like in this Spence fight, even though he lost, he showed you that he's got craft in there and toughness and going hard.
Just Spence fought a good fight, man. One of the things I like about Spence is that fucking jab, man. He uses it's a radar jab, it's a fucking power jab, it's a mixture of all that. He used the jab well in that fight. If not, he'd have got knocked the fuck out by Garcia.
Garcia kind of gave up as well.
Yeah, I mean,
after the fifth round, he gave up.
I just think that at a certain point, I don't say he gave up, but I just think that he just said, "Look, this guy's better than me. Spence is a better fighter than I am."
Which other fights are we looking forward to this year? What's
other fights
besides Fury Joshua, obviously?
Yeah, I am curious about Josh Taylor, Ramirez / maybe a Teofimo going up there fighting the winner, or maybe Teofimo rematch with Lomachenko. Those are fights that I'm looking forward to.
What about Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis?
I don't. I would be interested if that was really on the horizon. I don't think it is.
I heard Ryan Garcia is going to be fighting Linares, so that fight might happen. So
it's a good fight for him.
Yeah, it is. It's a good fight.
You should have fought him a year ago, but it's still a good fight for him.
That's going to be a difficult fight, though. I mean, if you're Linares, what are you thinking? Like, you just saw what happened with the Luke Campbell fight. What would you be thinking if you're Linares? Would you be confident?
Thinking like, hell yeah, this is gonna be easier than I expected.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, man. I think he's even more confident now that he can beat Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, but that could set him up.
He's gonna have to be smart. Yeah, no, of course.
I think Ryan Garcia's got to be careful he doesn't become a Amir Khan 2.0.
Right. I don't think he can. I think his chin is better than Khan's, though.
I think all these lightweights have to be careful they become Emir Khan, because they haven't been looking impressive, except for you can say Garcia got a knockout, but Haney and Tank Davis, they haven't been impressive to me.
Right. But going back to the Linares fight, Linares, listen, he has a decent jab, well balanced. I'm trying to compare him to Luke Campbell, what he can do better.
I think Linares might go for the finish more, because when Luke Campbell had Garcia hurt, and Garcia was out for like a couple of seconds, Luke Campbell didn't just go for the finish, up the gears. He took his time. That was partly due to Ryan Garcia's power and speed, but still, we should have just went for it.
Maybe Luke Campbell didn't see the signs, the signs of a hurt fighter.
I think he did, but the thing with Luke Campbell, he likes to take his time even when you're hurt. So the only time he went for it was like Lomachenko, but Lomachenko was beating him up so bad he had to go for it. But in this fight, it was kind of back and forth, so he wanted to wait, but that was his mistake. I think Linares will take that opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he would take an opportunity. If Linares hurts Ryan Garcia, then he will try to finish it. But that's a very good fight. I don't know what somebody else thinks.
What I'm worried about is if you watch the Loma fight, the finish was that hook to the body, and Ryan Garcia will be watching. I'll be like, I could do something similar with my left hook and end the fight like that.
But you saw the way Loma set that up, right? He kept fucking like pawing with that jab, going upstairs, and then he just as soon as he picked that fucking elbow up a little bit, he went for the body shot. I'm not saying that Garcia could do the same thing. I think Linares is gonna give him a good fight, and sometimes you need that to set up the knockout. And I think Ryan will catch him with a big shot. Probably knock him out.
He's kind of chinny and older. And he does throw a good straight right hand, but he'll get caught. He'll get caught because Garcia punches hard. He went rounds with Lomachenko, but maybe Lomachenko's not the biggest puncher upstairs. That's why he was able to land those shots. He's gonna be a little wary when he's gonna try to land his own shot. This is Linares, so you're gonna get caught in between in the process.
Yeah, Linares will put a little bit more pressure on Ryan Garcia if he's in trouble. But I don't see him landing that right hand. What happened with Ryan was he looked for a jab to the body, and Ryan just completely reacted to it. He dropped his hands. You see him dropping his hands, and that right hand just came over the top. And the thing with Luke is he went head hunting after that. He was looking for that single shot again, and he wasn't setting it up. And because he didn't set it up, he didn't land it. And Ryan was open to that. Like, he wasn't open to it, but he was aware of what he was trying to do. And Luke just became very predictable.
But for me, it was a close fight until the stoppage. I don't know. Some people saw a different fight. They saw Ryan Garcia clearly winning most of the rounds. I don't know, man. I think it was a closer fight. And so my thing is, if he ever fights Linares and it becomes a tactical fight where you gotta win rounds because you might go to distance, can Ryan Garcia pull that off though? Can he
I don't know if he can. That's my thing with Ryan. Can he pull it off? Maybe not. Will he get a judge's scorecard? Maybe so.
Yeah, that's true though.
You know what I mean? Like, dependent, unless it's like 11-1 to Linares and he completely boxed the kid. They might still even give him the decision, but no one will credit them with the win. In a close fight, he will get. I think the popularity of him, he will get decisions.
Yep. Well, that's a good fight. We'll wait and see if that happens. I want to talk about
one thing though, Brian. Ryan Garcia's not looking to go the distance. He's a finisher, man. If you look at his fight, a lot of early KOs. Not saying that he's gonna always get the early KOs, but he's always looking to get you out of there, man.
Yeah, he's always looking for the KO, right? But at some point he won't get the KO.
Or he's gonna keep looking for the knockout, in my opinion.
Yeah, at some point, somebody will stay in there, and someone who can box, maybe outbox him. I think he'll knock out Linares personally, but if it does go 12 rounds, I still think in a close fight he'll get decisions.
All right, I just want to quickly mention something. Yeah, I get it. I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I want to talk about. I know we keep talking about Wilder, but because I have something that I wrote down here. So on the last show we were talking about Wilder and somehow Brotherhood was comparing him to. Oh no, he was comparing Luis Ortiz to Vladimir Klitschko, and anyways. So why is Tyson Fury considered the best heavyweight right now? That's a good question. Is it because he beat Deontay Wilder, or because he beat Vladimir Klitschko?
Well, because mainly of recent history, it's because he beat Deontay Wilder, and I did agree a little bit with not where he was going with Brotherhood, but because he beat one of the champions, right? So you got, in terms of Deontay Wilder, you got Anthony Joshua, and then you have the lineal, what we consider or what boxing considers the lineal, which is, I think, meaningless. But he did beat Vladimir Klitschko, right? You can't erase that. He beat Klitschko and then retired, and until he beat Deontay Wilder, we weren't too sure about him. So him beating him the way he did, I mean, just look at the level. Look at who's in the heavyweight division. Who's better than him? Like, can you name? Maybe you think AJ is, but besides AJ, who else? Who else is better than him?
So there's a little bit of an eye test.
Also because.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, AJ's stock dropped a little bit with the Reese fight.
Right, because he got knocked out.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Gonzalo.
I gotta keep it short because they're working outside.
Yeah, I hear background. All right. So,
well, look, even Fury was a half a second away of being knocked out in that fight, right? Like, even Fury shows that he's got. But to say that what makes Tyson Fury the best heavyweight, or in somebody's opinion the best heavyweight? Well, because look what he did. He beat Deontay Wilder, one of the two top guys in that weight class, right?
So
guys
Wilder's not a bum, because this is the thing. So then people.
No, I never said Wilder's a bum. He's just not as good as fans make him out to be. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. But
that's it.
Either he has to be. This is the thing. Wilder has to be a bum, or he has to be the greatest ever. No, why not? He can be somewhere in between. That's the thing.
Now he may be mentally fucked now. Like, he may be mentally.
Absolutely.
That has to do with him, right? That's more with him.
Right.
Yeah.
And he get beat. Let's just walk into the future. Just for the argument that Fury's one of the best heavyweights or the best heavyweight. Let's say Wilder's next fight is Charles Martin, and Charles Martin knocks him out. Well, I bet what will happen is that he's mentally shot. It's not going to be because Wilder fights different now.
No. It's going to be because Tyson Fury beat him up with an egg weight.
No, I mean, come on, that's fantasy. Let's talk reality, right? Like, that's a theory. That didn't happen. What happened was is it possible that he could have the Roy Jones effect after getting knocked out by Tarver? That's possible.
It's possible, but Rick, are you telling me that Charles Martin couldn't have ever knocked out Wilder if it wouldn't have been for the Fury fight? Meaning, do we have to make excuses?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. What I would say is, like, depending on how he gets beat on that fight. Let's say he didn't throw any punches, and he was doing it when there was opportunities to throw punches. I would say he's mentally shot then, because he saw the opportunities and he didn't go for it. Sort of like Roy Jones. Roy Jones just stopped fighting basically after he got knocked out by Tarver.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Recognize in the chat.
And boxing.
Can I just somebody saying asking if Recognize is a psychologist?
I mean, listen, it's I'm a boxing fan like everybody else. It's just noticing.
We've
patterns.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just noticing a pattern. And if you ever fought somebody in your life, you would know that kind of works against you sometimes when you lose. At least early, that will work against you.
And also the pattern with Fury is like, boxing is what have you done for me lately? And he looked like $1 million in his last fight against Wilder. So it's very easy, to say, oh man, he's a beast right now. He fights in a certain way that he doesn't look so good. Maybe later, we kind of overrated Fury. That's normal to say,
I mean, look, Tarver. Everybody was calling Tarver a beast after he knocked out Roy Jones. He looked like shit his last couple of fights. After that.
Yeah, sure. Right. If we're going off this, right? I thought AJ looked good against Pulev, but the difference is there was a question mark about Tyson Fury going into the Wilder fight. AJ's meant to beat Pulev. So mentally, people are thinking, it's an easy win for AJ, where it's a 50-50 fight with for a lot of people, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury does that to Deontay Wilder. There was a clear difference. And you could see Tyson Fury improved his game style from the first fight to the second fight.
Yep.
You know, so one fighter adapted and the other one didn't. And that's like the Reese fight. AJ adapted, Reese just, well, I think Reese got worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, and, you know, but, you know, I think a lot of people would have given AJ a lot more credit if he would have done to Reese what Tyson Fury did to Wilder. If you know what I mean, like in the second fight.
No, of course.
Completely dominated him.
He got the
beat
haircut.
him
I
up.
see the haircut, the fresh haircut. There you go.
Yeah, but if you know what I mean, like even the second fight, AJ went in as the favorite. You know, between Andy Reese, even though that happened to him, you know.
Yeah, I got it.
So, you know, I think mentally people weren't expecting what happened on that night. A lot of people, I thought it could happen. I said it long before. I said, you know, I've never really rated Wilder, and he's never been in the ring with anyone. I said if Fury was aggressive with him, he you know, going to put him in the back foot. Wilder's not good in the back foot, so, and I thought he could do that to him. But a lot of people are saying, nah, if he's going to come in, he's going to get that right hand, he's going to get knocked out. And I said, well,
hold on,
if Wilder can't set up that right hand.
I'm gonna forget before I gotta. Sorry to cut you off, but the Brotherhood now saying recognize always acting like he a boxing psychologist. What's the point? Like everybody's now.
True. I be sticking up for Brotherhood, and he stabs me in the back. Like that's just how Brotherhood is. Forget it. I'm not even gonna.
Damn.
I'm not
I
even
don't
gonna mention
understand
anything anymore.
why can't we say that some like a boxer might have been affected by a devastating knockout or stoppage? Or
I mean,
beating,
it's just
you know?
common sense. Like I'm sorry, maybe the Brotherhood never got his ass beat in a fight before, or maybe he never been in a fight. I don't know. But sometimes when you lose,
yeah,
you could be mentally affected. Yes.
Did you stop selling bootlegs the first time you got arrested for it? No. Come on now.
I did. I kept
Takes
going.
a few times.
You also gotta think most people are scared of or are afraid of expressing their honest opinion because a lot of times they don't know, and sometimes we don't know. It's just an opinion. But if you got a little bit of a common sense and you're a fan of the sport, you can figure certain things out. There's nothing wrong with saying. There's nothing wrong with saying what you think. You know.
Exactly, and it's like you said, Gonzalo. It's common sense. We're not saying anything that's crazy, right? Like we've seen fighters.
And besides, Brotherhood, you don't have all the answers. I know you're listening. You don't have all the answers.
He's gonna say he does, though.
Recognize.
Hold on. I want to read a super chat. Mr. E, thank you for your contribution. He says, towards Spotify and Brotherhood wages, rock on. Oh, the donations towards the Spotify and Brotherhood wages. Yeah, thank you, Mr. E. We appreciate your donation. Go ahead, Brian.
No, just ask and recognize. Have you been in a fight with someone you know you can't beat?
I'm sorry.
Someone mentally you fought a few times before and they're just better than you.
Oh yeah, that's happened. I mean, sometimes you don't like it. You know, it's just
when that happens to you and you try harder, you seize up on what you know, like you know you can't beat a guy mentally. You know, like mentally you just can't beat a guy, and there's something inside. If you've ever been in a fight with someone you just can't beat mentally in the head, you know you can't win. You just know, you know.
Get ready for some more stories. Get ready for some more stories.
No. There was this guy. There was this kid, he was an amateur fighter. He fought a guy from my gym, and the guy from the gym always beat him. Now, the guy from my gym always beat him in a sparring fight, but when they had a pro, he lost to him by points. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Different styles sometimes. It's just a different style of fighting. And this guy would always beat him in the gym. Always beat him in sparring.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah, sometimes it just depends on the style. Now, okay, if me and a guy are going at it, he beats me in that style, or it's a tactical fight, and he beats me in that. Okay, I'm gonna be a little discouraged if he beat me in every most important level in boxing.
Yeah.
I'll be like, that guy's just better than me.
Yeah, like I've been in the ring with guys who are better than me, and tell you the truth, frustration takes over. And you know by the middle of the second round you can't beat him, even though you're trying. You're trying different things. And everything you try, he's just countering, or he's getting there first, or it's frustrating mentally and physically. It's frustrating.
Yeah,
bite his ear.
So what? Would,
Bite his ear off.
Well, that's
Yeah,
because
hit him in the balls, like
Holyfield was
Galata.
Holyfield was headbutting. That's why.
Or like Galata, just give him a ball shot, like a real fucking low one. Hey guys, you know what I think? I don't think that this is like a situation where you're advancing and then all of a sudden you face somebody that you're completely out of your fucking league with, like taken to school, embarrassed. I think it's more like a pretty even matchup, to be honest with you. I think the first fight was pretty. I think each fought about their best possible fight they could have fought. It was high drama because of the style matchup, and because of the knockdown at the end, and then arguably come back and winning that round or evening it up by stunning Wilder. That fight went right down to the goddamn wire. Even in the post fight, they both handled it. Honestly, they both handled it pretty fucking well. You had to see a rematch from that fight. If there's a guy that recognized back from his gym wars days before he started bootlegging, if there's a guy, or Brian,
it's not true.
I know, not good. You're on peel. The thing is this: like, if you come up with a guy that at some level you're pretty goddamn even. I'm saying you beat him, he beats you. It's close. You guys, you spar or you play football against each other, and it's just every play could go either way. They're not always going to go down to the wire 50-50 like that. Sometimes you will get. I'm just going to speak in football terms. I don't want to upset any of the Canadians in the room, but sometimes this guy gets up underneath your pads and just fucking demolishes you. He's just lower than you. He's up underneath you. He's got a hold of you. You're flailing around and you're watching it on film. You're watching yourself just get manhandled. It's embarrassing. But those are going to happen too, pretty often, and vice versa, when it's 50-50. In other words, the two fighters you saw in the first fight were pretty much the two fighters you saw in the second fight, but one took a shot and connected. I don't think you're going to see Tyson Fury fight like this walk down, seek and destroy type of. He's the same guy he was against Wallin and Klitschko, and he's that same guy. And Wilder, there's nothing to be mentally destroyed. There's no mental to destroy. He only knows.
He's mentally destroyed.
He's just going to delude himself.
Pete, so you're saying Wilder is not mentally destroyed? Will not be.
No more than he was before. He was out.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not saying I didn't listen to him, but I'm not saying I didn't pay him any attention, because obviously coming up to a fight, if they're interviewing him, I want to hear what's going on. But like, he says all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
To where, again, if this was like somebody turning around, like, if this was like somebody that really never has come out, they've been like, say what you will about him, but they've been pretty straight as a fighter. I mean, like him or not. And then they lose a fight and they just turn around to a trainer like Mark Breland and they go, "This motherfucker spiked my water." Not why did you throw in the towel? That's understandable shit.
There's
a
blueprint. There's a blueprint. It's very easy to figure out for somebody like Wilder. Don't give him the space and don't give him the time to set up his shots. It's easy because he don't know how to box. He can punch hard, so don't give him the spacing and don't give him the opportunity. And so you gotta jump on him.
Wilder reminds me of a guy who got busted cheating on his wife, and he keeps still saying, "No, they spiked my drink. That's why I fell asleep in our house." 11 months later, he's still saying the same thing, even though
I date rape myself. I do it
Vagina.
myself sometimes. I spark my own drink.
That's
this out, though.
Red
excuses are
Monster,
that
two
bad.
twins. Twins.
Okay, look, it's not like
kids.
a perfectly rational person turned around and accused Mark Breland. Mark Breland would probably, honestly, he'd probably say more about it if it was, but Mark Breland looks at this guy. He has to deal with him training camp after training camp. He listens to these interviews. He watches him put the mask on. He watches him put the glitter mask on with the red LED lights on it when he's probably sitting there with the pads ready to warm him up. You know, he's ready to warm up before the fight. And this guy's got his costume designer with his fucking cape and his glitter and his,
Yeah.
He's put up with a lot of shit. He knows Wilder. He's all over the place.
Pete. This is what happened after the destruction that took place on February the 22nd. Wilder disappeared for a while, and we were all thinking or asking ourselves, where the hell is this guy? This is strange.
Okay, let's just go to after the fight, Bucho. Let's back up. After the fight,
yes,
I think it was a good stoppage. I don't blame him for throwing in the towel. He was just going to take a further beating. The ref was going to stop it. The towel was coming in. Okay. You got Finkel looking at Wilder's pissed. I got nothing wrong with that, right?
That's fine. He's an athlete fighter who yes. But that's a winning mentality. You want to go all the way till the end. So, yeah, fine, fair. He was complaining.
Right. No, I got no problem with that, right?
No.
And so, but now continue. Now let's go on and now tell the story. And this is when it gets funky right here.
Well, listen, the guy disappeared for a while. Wilder disappeared. We didn't know what was happening. Then he comes out with a weird video where he's saying that your king is gonna be back. You guys know the story.
Your king is here.
All that strange talk. And then again, he disappears for a while, and then he comes back with another video, and this one is the big one. I think that video came out in November. That's when he's talking about how he was betrayed. He was betrayed by his trainer.
November. Yeah.
The egg weight. He's talking about cracked skulls. All that bullshit. To me, that doesn't look like a guy that's mentally all there.
No, but I can play you a tape before the fight when he talked about wanting to get pregnant. I can play you another tape before that fight when he talked about, who was that? Magic Johnson? Magic Johnson was trying to back out of the shot when they had the two of them together. They had the two of them together on at ringside at a fight, and they were talking at the same time. Magic Johnson spoke, and then when they threw it to Deontay Wilder standing next to him, like 2-3 feet away, when he started talking, Magic Johnson started looking around, how am I going to escape? I thought this guy was normal. He hadn't said a word until they gave him the mic. Who is this motherfucker? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so your argument, he's always been crazy. This is nothing new. And so therefore, we don't know.
We laugh about this shit all the time, how he wants to come in. Remember when I said he wanted to come into his entrance music was going to be to a baby's like a jewelry box, out the little baby music it plays when you open it up.
What? Who said
the baby's in the crib? Yeah,
this guy's weird, man.
And Tank was going to be in a papoose or whatever.
That would have been creepy, man.
Yeah, exactly. Ding, 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 ding.
He's always been crazy, but now the facade, he can't play it up as much because the whole undefeated mantra that he tried to play up on people, that's gone. The mask is off, So he
were you ever fooled? He's not saying it for you. He's saying it for him. He's not saying it for you. He's saying it for him.
I was never fooled, but for the sake of him feeling that protects him, that he's selling himself to the public, which he's got some people believing that, and people are eating out of his hand. No, his self-image, he can't have that. What do you call it? What is validation? He can't validate himself no more. He kind of believed his own bullshit, but at the same time, he kind of has to know that he's kind of fake. He did realize that, but he convinced himself that no, maybe I am that guy. But to tell you the truth, he's got his feet has been brought back down to earth, where he can't fool himself no more.
If he didn't know what he was saying, he wouldn't come out with lines like, "I don't need to learn how to box. I have power."
Okay, listen, Brian.
Yeah, something like that.
He's arguably one of the top 4 heavyweights in the entire world right now. He's one of the top 4. I can say that. There's no problem.
I agree,
right? Okay, so his whole. Listen, man. I don't talk to Wilder personally, right? None of us do. We talk to each other. We discuss this shit. We just chop it up, man. Maybe when it comes down to what we're looking at, you're right. It's just based on what we've seen in our own lives and what we've seen in the boxing.
It's image, Pete. It's not about being the hardest
Not to me
puncher
though.
in
I don't give
history.
a fuck about any of this.
No, hold on.
The
It's not
in-ring
about
stuff.
about being the hardest puncher in history. It's about making people believe that you are the hardest puncher in history, and that's enough for him and his people. As long as they believe it, it's cool. It's good.
Gonzalo, if we understand that having the hardest punch in the heavyweight division, having the hardest punch of all time against, it's not like what's his name in Rocky 4. What was the fucking Drago punching the fucking meter, with a digital readout, the foot pounds. This is not a fucking game where you're
1,800 pounds from Ivan Drago.
1,850 pounds of
He's injecting some shit.
This is
though.
not
All
the
right, so what's
this
the
is not
point?
the punching game in the bar where you get a score for it. This is like you have to move. There's angles. It's a hell of a lot more than just who can punch the hardest stationary object. So, if we understand that he's flawed, I'm talking about in the ring now. I don't give a shit about what he says out there.
The ring. Okay.
He's vulnerable going backwards. He's vulnerable when he's coming forward. He's vulnerable when he's throwing his right hand. He's vulnerable. He's vulnerable up until the point he's the whole time he is. We've watched it. So if we know that,
if we know, hold on, Pete. If we know, some people think got him as a god status, and they don't accept that he has. Everybody got flaws, man, and we all get up and put one fat leg at a time.
Pete,
but the other boxers know that too, though. They're well aware.
Yes, but I think that's my whole thing, though. These other boxers, they're not that. The boxers that Wilder has faced, they sucked. And I know people are going to go, oh, no, how can you say they sucked? They did. They were big because they're heavyweights, obviously, but they really sucked. I'm sorry, but most
they were tailor-made.
They were tailor-made. They would stand in front of Deontay Wilder. They would get confident because they would start boxing the guy, and they probably started thinking, "Oh my god, this is easier than I expected." Oh my god, start getting comfortable, and all of a sudden they just stand in front of Wilder, too close to him for half a second, and then boom, that's it, man. That's when they would like Ortiz, that second fight. He made a mistake. He stood there without moving his head just for half a fucking second. That was it. And so. Yeah, listen. I don't know where I was going. Why we start talking about this? What were you saying?
He got a lot of knockouts, and when
they just happen to be out. So the other fighters know it, but they don't do anything about it. Bucho's point is that hey, he's in the top 4, Bucho. So everybody he fought was
and we can go
the
to
5th or better. You get it?
Yeah.
And even against the guys that this is just us talking. I'm not shitting on the guy, but even against the guys that were tailor made for him.
He didn't fight Klitschko. He could have. He didn't.
He didn't fight
a lot. Klitschko, of course not.
No, hold on. He didn't fight Klitschko. He realized he was tough. But Vetkin tested positive or not, I don't know. That later was cleared up. Yeah. But that kind of had to be fortunate, and they played upon his fans and the whole idea that everybody ducking me. And then he didn't fight White like over 300 days when he was a mandatory. Things were made in a certain way that he didn't. Some people seemed like they were ducking him, and others he didn't take the fights, and he was knocking out all these bums. So his career was all smoke and mirrors, man.
He was smoking.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Wilder, he's got a quick twitch, and he's got good accuracy and power on his right hand. That's it.
Yeah, and listen. Here's the thing: we have to. People, you can't break down somebody's record. Yes, we can. We can look at Wilder's record, and seriously, for the longest for throughout his whole reign, we keep saying his best win was Luis Ortiz, and before that was Bernstein-Vern, and the Bernstein-Vern fight was the fight where he won the title. So it's not even
that's another angle right there. The boogeyman angle with Luis Ortiz. I heard that like for 2 years.
Well, they had to, Gonzalo. They had to say that he was a boogeyman so as to prop up whatever Wilder's record to make it look better. And this is what they're doing now with Charles Martin, because I tell it yesterday I played that clip from Blue Blood Boxing, whatever, that guy, LDBC guy. When he talked about Charles Martin, when he mentioned his name, before saying his name, former heavyweight champion, superstar Charles Martin. I'm
Yeah,
like,
he gave
okay,
him a big
wait, hold
intro.
it.
Yeah.
Superstar? Nah. Former world champion? I mean, seriously? He won the IBF belt when he fought, what was this guy's name? This European guy.
Glaskov. And he
That-
didn't win it
and he
legitimately.
slipped.
Glaskov, yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, Bucho. They're playing up Arriola and Chris Martin as the superstars to make the other guy sound like he's legitimate.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, but check it out, guys. Like, so I don't ever talk to Blue Blood. I don't know. I wouldn't know his fucking picture if you put it in front of me. I don't know who he is or whatever. I heard the clip, but I talk to you guys and whoever comes, like Brotherhood, right? If you listen to Brotherhood, man, I know Wilder's saying all this shit, right? I know he is, but number one, I know why he's saying it. It's not for the other boxers because they already know. It's not for fans on either side because they're going to believe what they're going to believe anyway. He's saying that shit to himself. He is saying this shit to his own self, and then getting reinforced by the people around him. You understand? That's exactly why he's saying it. He's moving on and putting this behind him, he thinks, in the best way possible. He is putting it behind him, but he's doing it himself a disservice. But again, I'm not Deontay Wilder's manager or his advisor, who's definitely doing his job in terms of public relations and get a sports psychologist in there. But anyway, I'm going to just talk to like Brotherhood. If you listen to what Brotherhood says, man, he gets into it with you guys, right? But he doesn't believe any of that bullshit either. He didn't come on here yesterday and with any of that shit. What he said was after you guys started arguing, he lost. So what? He got beat.
Yeah,
He'll
but I
be
remember
back.
him also.
So what?
Listen, Brotherhood, he's changing his tune because I remember the first time he called, like after the Wilder Fury fight, he was saying like something was fishy. I don't know.
I was on
if
that
it's
call.
True.
Yeah, I was
I
on
remember.
that
I don't
show.
know if it's true, but and this is I want to say something. This is one of also the problems of hyping up Deontay Wilder. He was so hyped up that for some people, it was impossible for Deontay Wilder to actually lose in a fair fight. And that's what's happening. That Fury lost for them. It's unacceptable. It's not even possible. It's not a possibility unless Tyson
Right.
Fury cheated because Wilder is such a great boxer. This is the problem, man. People were
It was
we
rigged.
called it. We called it,
If
man.
I lose, it was rigged.
Exactly, but we called it because we
Mhm.
saw Gerald Washington, winning rounds against Wilder. We saw Spilk out boxing the guy. Ortiz had some great moments in the first fight, in the second fight even. But like they weren't that good, and they always made one mistake, and that one mistake is what cost them the fight. But we always said once Wilder fights somebody that has enough skills, he will get
What's up, Mark?
outboxed and probably get knocked out. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, who's this?
Yo, Mark. What's up, man?
Oh, Mark.
Migsy.
Yeah.
Migsy
Go ahead,
boy.
Mark. Go ahead.
How's it going? By the way, no. Luis Ortiz didn't have a moment in that Deontay Wilder fight in the second one, man. He was on his job and he didn't do a damn thing.
He won.
He deserved to get knocked out. He deserved to get knocked out.
I don't know. He was winning the fight. I had him winning the fight. I mean, yeah, in the first
Yeah,
fight, there were
but
great moments.
he threw 3 jabs around him. Wilder just walked around in a circle
was
like a
still
retard.
winning.
Lewis slowed down and got knocked out.
Body
Yeah.
shots.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like
You can be winning the fight and not do anything. Bartholomew and Easter in the fight in the 11th round. After the 11th round, Bartholomew was up by 1 round.
Yeah, but Mark, cut some slack.
What are you
Mark,
talking about?
cut the guy some slack. He's like 50 something. So, I
So is
think
Bartholomew.
he was 50.
So am I.
Yeah. All right. But anyways, hey, fair
If
enough.
he would have continued on that path to the 12th round and he wouldn't have got knocked out, it would have been hard to say, oh, Deontay Wilder won. Based off of what? But he got the KO. Maybe he was a sitting duck, and it was only going to be a matter of time. And you could say it was a trap that Deontay Wilder was setting because fucking Luis Ortiz was very predictable. But this is the way it goes, man. He was just in there to get knocked out, I think. Yeah, Ortiz
All right.
was.
Gonzalo, Brotherhood saying, so Wilder had more skill than everybody else he fought. Don't lie. No, he didn't have more skill. But even if I concede that he had more skill than these other guys, even if I concede that point, Well, that doesn't tell you anything because who did he have more skills than? Like Ariola, that's Duapa. Who else did he have more skill than? He was more skillful than who? Ortiz. I mean, see, there's
I don't
no
know about
names in.
skills, but
There's
he certainly was better than every opponent. He won every one of his fights.
well,
yeah.
let's say fair enough. Even concede that one. He's better than all these guys. So what? Who are these guys? That's the thing. That's the problem with Deontay
You just
Wilder's
named them.
record. Yeah, he won, but I always said as soon as he fights somebody that has skills, he will lose, and that's exactly what happened. These other guys, they have.
Luis Ortiz has skills.
Yeah, and what happened to the guy?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he has skills.
Personally.
Okay, well now because we're going to absolutes, what's skill or not skills? Okay, somebody that's in the level of let's say Fury, Joshua, maybe even Dylan White. I always say Dylan White would knock him out, man. I always say Dylan White. Luis Ortiz, yes, he has more skills, but he's 50 years old, so you know when I talk somebody that has skills,
Ortiz, but
I'm talking about somebody that's in his
he
prime,
has
man.
some skills.
I mean, Ortiz was he even in his prime? Nah. So yeah, maybe I should be more specific here because skills started on
Yeah, but Luis Ortiz was the biggie man, right?
and in his prime, and skills and in his prime. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
He clearly won that fight.
Polish
Obviously,
guy.
he won that
What was
fight,
his name? That Spilka. He was doing great.
Arthur,
That was skills
Yeah.
to a certain extent. Now, is it a skill when you lunge in like a fucking idiot there, maniac? He got so confident that guy just lunged in, man, and he got caught. So I always said when he faces a fighter that's not gonna go all reckless like that, make a huge mistake. Could you imagine Golovkin lunging in like that?
No.
Could you? No, I mean seriously. Could you? What was that about? But I can kind of understand Spilka. He was probably thinking, "My God, this is fucking easy. This is so fucking easy. Just gonna go in there and
It's
like
just that
he's too relaxed."
it's just that he has one punch that they need to watch out for, and they think they got it. They listen. He's still trying to be in range for that punch. He just happens to throw it where he's 1 foot or 5 feet away from you. What is his reach? 70-something inches?
Yeah,
Well, I don't even know what his reach is. Mark,
80
what's
something.
his reach?
80 something.
Okay. He's just throwing that punch until he happens to be 80-something inches from the chin.
Yeah.
You understand that? You understand that strategy? He's throwing that punch. He might be 8 inches away. He might be 8 feet away. He's just throwing a right hand over and over again. So guys listen, it's a hard punch, and these guys, he is the 4th best. He is better than these guys. He is the 4th best, the top 4 in the division. So he wins the fights, period. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, again, it's not for Wilder. I'm not looking to improve or tear down Wilder. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think, but just talking to brotherhood or any of you guys, I can't ignore flaws over and over again just because the fight ends with the 7th round, he knocks Luis Ortiz out. Just because Luis Ortiz happened to be 80-something inches away from his right hand when he threw that particular punch, right? I can't ignore the fact that Luis Ortiz walking him down, beating his ass upstairs and downstairs too, body shots.
With 3 jabs or something. Apparently in the second
I don't
fight.
know about 3 jabs. I don't with 3 jabs. Talking about fucking.
Talking about the second fight, not the first fight.
The second fight.
Talking about the second fight.
Yeah. So just listen. I don't understand. Again, maybe I gotta ask Jim, but I don't know how much film these guys are or not watching. But in college football, you do nothing but review film for the next week for the opponents coming up, and then whatever you did last week. You can blow a team out.
Pete,
but when you're watching film, you're watching yourself do something wrong over and over and over. I mean, it didn't even matter. Nothing happened because of it. But the point is, the team that you're going to play next week, they're watching that same film. They're watching you blow that fucking responsibility or half-ass it or freestyle, do whatever you want. They're watching that too. So the point is not that you cost us a major play. Shit, we fucking killed them. Didn't even matter. Point is, asshole, that the next week they're watching the same film and they're going to exploit that. So fix it. So it gets drilled into you that just because he knocked him out in the 7th round doesn't mean you could ignore all the flaws. That's my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Pete. To your point, go ahead, Pete.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Pete, to your point, that raises up two questions. Like, I've noticed this for a while now, but this modern day era of Americans started with Floyd Mayweather, or I don't watch tape. I'm the greatest. I adapted the ring. Floyd did it, and then Burner did it, and got his ass whooped. Now I think Wilder's that stubborn. He probably does it as well, and also that puts into question Mark Breland. Is he not watching tape and telling Wilder to do, or is Wilder that stubborn? It's like I think the trainer has some faults as well,
He's
and I
got to
think
be
if
that
Wilder
stubborn.
maybe, I think if Wilder maybe had a more stricter trainer, he'll be a lot better.
Remember that caller we had
look.
right after the fight? We had this caller from Alabama, and he claimed. Remember what he was saying?
He wasn't training. He's been fucking off.
Into the gym, he spent most of his time dancing and he only did any training. He was there for about an hour.
It's funny and everything. It's funny, but I can't get behind that because I will say one thing: the guy's never winded. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the son bitch, he never does any road work. All I ever see, the workouts I see him doing is screaming on that mic, But you see him in the 11th round in the corner. He's not really breathing that hard.
Well, he's not doing
he's never
much.
gassed.
I mean, fair enough, but like let's say in the Ortiz fight, were you surprised that he wasn't tired though? When he wasn't
No,
really
I mean
doing
like in the Fury first fight, like let's just say in the first Fury fight, like
was
in the
just
11th round, going into the 12th, he wasn't real.
He didn't throw a lot of punches. Like if you actually watch Wilder's fight and not his highlights, he doesn't throw a lot of punches, and he's quite boring to watch.
He's just swinging.
I hear you. The point being,
Fury was flicking a lot of punches. It wasn't.
I don't think he's hanging out in Birmingham. I think he's training. Yeah, I think he's.
Maybe he does some like I don't even think he does road work.
No, he doesn't.
Like
but let's go back to what Apology said, right? So, okay, so but with the coach, right? Of course, he's been told that. We were talking about this last night. Like at some point, somebody has tried to tell him this, but at the end of the day, it's not like your college coach or your high school coach where he can fucking punish you or yank you off the field if you don't follow instruction. They'll bench your ass if you just want to go out there and just go rogue, and do whatever you want. They just fucking sit your ass down.
Did anybody else feel? Sorry.
Apology. You know why he doesn't throw a lot of punches? Because although he does hit really hard and his power is his best defense, he knows if he opens up and misses, he's gonna get countered and he's gonna get beat up, put on shaky legs, spaghetti legs. That's why he doesn't know that. He wants to retain his power to where he's got the opponent thinking, if I throw my punches, I got you thinking I'm gonna hurt you. So just by the fear alone of the opponent knowing that Deontay Wilder got power, he keeps the opponent thinking. But he ultimately that is his best defense when he throws the power. So he just wants to have that card in his hands. He's not showing it to you, but that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he does throw, he does have good accuracy. Like when he lets that right hand go, because he doesn't throw a lot of punches, and when he lets that right hand go, he does have natural power. Does anybody just feel like Mark Breland was happy to be there for a paycheck?
Okay, but to what Apology said, of course he's been told before. But at the end of the day, Mark Breland is an employee of Deontay Wilder. You get that? So is he going to go in there and change him? No.
I get that. I get that. Does anybody just feel like Mark Breland was just happy to be there?
No.
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
he's
Pete,
doing his job, man.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Pete, is like, what if he was stricter? Because you say if you don't follow the rules and call the bots, we'll get benched. What if the train was like, all right, you're not going to train where I train, get out of my gym?
Apology.
Maybe if someone was
you can tell by
stricter,
looking at me. You can tell by looking at me that I've never hired a personal trainer like to go work out. Okay, you could tell that I just take a 10-year break, on my own schedule. But let's be real. If you hired a personal trainer, right? You're hiring a guy basically to get your ass in gear. I mean, you know how to work out. You just, for whatever reason, fill in the blanks. You want some accountability. I'm going to meet this guy every day at whatever. So I hire this guy,
and you
Oh.
come in there and you're dragging ass, and he goes, "Hey,
What the hell is
apology,
going
come
on
on,
here?
baby, let's go. Let's get it in gear, man. You're dragging on me. You're fucking, come on, man. You're not giving me nothing, right? You want that? That's nothing wrong with that,
Hey,
right?
Pete, your sound's all fucked up now, man.
What if the next day he's totally just says, "I've had enough of you,
All right.
apology. Like you are fucking, you're in here, you're half asleep, you're not fucking lifting anything, you're going soft on everything, you're not giving me any fucking reps, you're bitching, you're taking too much of a break." He really just gets into you too much, right? It's just, in other words, he oversteps his bounds. You fucking fire the guy. It's not what you're looking for. And I'm sorry, but in professional boxing, I just don't think that trainer-fighter relationship is like a subservient. I just think he can only do so much, man. He can only really go so far. Take a stand. I mean, number one, the guy's established already. He's already established in his style. He's either going to be open-minded to small changes, to small adjustments, or he's not. He's not. He's just not. No.
Yeah, but at some point,
Yeah.
I got to imagine he said, "Hey, Deontay."
Hey, Pete, your mic's all fucked up. I don't know why, man. Pete, go, get out and come back in.
You ever notice how he fucking uses that jab?
Pete.
And once it gets inside of him, and
Peter,
even threatens
Pete,
your mic's fucked up.
All right, go ahead,
your mic
Brian.
can't hear you. No, I'm just saying. At some point, if you're Mark Breland, would you just want to say to Deontay Wilder, either shape up or I'm leaving?
Exactly, that's my point. Be strict.
Yeah.
He got fired, man. He's no longer around.
Yeah, he's no longer around because Deontay Wilder lost. Maybe if he would have listened to Mark Breland, maybe he would have been better prepared. Of the way he lost, it was embarrassing for him.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, some people claiming that Wilder he's underrated. Wilder's such a great fighter. You just don't see it. I mean, how could a terrible fighter like Wilder have 9 title defenses? Well, how can he lose to Fury like that? Well, the answer is that it was either Fury's that great, or Wilder's career is a facade. It's fake. He was hyped up, and I go with the latter, man. He was hyped up, and that's why he was completely exposed against Tyson Fury.
Yeah, and for him, he didn't think that could happen, so he was embarrassed. And because of that embarrassment, he did sack Mark Breland. But maybe if he would have listened to Mark Breland more,
of course,
maybe he would have been. Maybe he would have been better prepared.
Hey, can I just say something?
And you know what? And people call it. Go ahead, Buchon.
Just quickly, Fury. I was thinking why I'm saying he's not. It's not that Fury is so great, and that's why he beat Wilder the way he did. It's because you look at Fury against Wallin. Were you actually impressed by that performance?
No.
Fury against Cunningham. I mean, there's
not
really
really.
a lot of. So even Fury, he's a bit overrated in my opinion. He's starting to become overrated. But go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, he looked good in the last fight at 270, though. He figured out his weight. But as Wilder, as far as him, they say, the only thing he needs to do is like these small, minor adjustments. People keep saying, if you'd only do the little... No, they're not really minor. They're big adjustments. They're big adjustments because if it's just like a 1-2 and it means that he needs to throw more of a jab in order to disguise his right hand and get that going, the 1-2, that means he's going to be open to more counters. And maybe there's a reason why he doesn't throw that jab as often. And it means you have to keep your control. You have to keep control of your temperament. So when you get angry or frustrated and you start swinging wild, you don't get countered and things like that. You got to have a lot of things in place. It's not just like small minor adjustments. Yes, it's just doing a basic thing over and over again, repetitive. But it's really a big adjustment because if it were that easy, he would have done it already. It's not that easy.
Do you think Do you think he's open to that, Gonzalo?
Open to what? To trying to implement a better
no, he's not.
Boxing style or what?
Why
we got a training camp here. We got a couple of months here. Listen, we don't have to throw the right hand. That's established. You got your power.
Yeah, but he's gonna revert back to punching because he's a puncher. It's like
I didn't say stop punching. I said let's Let's talk about range. Let's just talk about balance. Let's talk about not jumping in so fast.
Like,
That's
we've
what
been
I'm
talking
saying. Is
about
when
that
you
for
got
5
heavy
years,
hands,
man.
you're not gonna focus on technique. You're gonna try to land that one haymaker, and when you get with yeah, it's just in your mind thinking, man, I'm just gonna throw whatever, and you're not gonna use your technique when you
Then the
gotta
answer
put
is
your
no.
feet
Then
in place, and you're gonna
The answer
your
is
punches
no,
are
Pete.
coming from
But
the
you know this.
shoulder.
We've been talking about this for 5
he
years, guys.
might
Hold on,
try,
hold on.
but he's
We've
going
been
to
talking
revert back
about
to what he was.
we've been talking about this for 5 years, man. All right,
Yeah.
about him
The
improving,
question,
him
the question
developing a
is, I
jab.
mean, we know he hasn't changed.
What
We
if
know he
he
hasn't changed.
yeah, but now
But
all of a sudden getting destroyed is gonna like convince the guy that hey, maybe I should fucking develop my game at 35. I don't think so, man. I think he's mentally broken.
No.
We see it in the videos. There's no way he's gonna. He still like listen. If he actually thought that he had to improve his skills in order to like maybe get a victory in the rematch, he would say that you know what, I'm going back to the gym. I'm gonna like you're gonna see a new Wilder. No, what he's actually saying is, oh, I lost because he cheated. Why Fury cheated? That's how he's thinking. That's how he's rationalizing the whole situation instead of being realistic. He's not realistic right now. He is out of his fucking mind. By the way, let me just read
Never
this comment.
was.
Yeah.
Never was.
But he's even more now. Pete, a lot of the things he was saying was just like to hype up a fight. Now what he's saying right now, you can tell he actually believes this shit, man. Because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
How can you say that like Fury used an egg weight shaped, whatever, egg weight.
I talked about it yesterday. I agree. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But come on, that's I understand he said a lot of
No,
crazy
it's ridiculous. My point is even the people we speak to, even Brotherhood doesn't really believe that, you know, like in other words, he's yesterday what he was when they start off, I know it degenerates into other shit, you know, like it gets into an argument, but dude, put your fingers right here on the side of your temple. Put your fingers right here.
Yeah, I know.
You feel behind your eye, you feel behind your orbital bone, there's an indentation there.
I know.
I mean, everybody's got it. You know, now how I'm going to hire a doctor to say it's the size of an egg weight and measure this up, you know, I'm sure the proof is going to be outstanding. I'm sure it's going to be a fucking hell of a case.
He would be in so much pain. He would have crazy. By the way, I just want to read this comment from PSK in the chat. He says, let's put it into perspective. Wilder got dropped more than Seferi and Pianera combined. That rests the case on Wilder being overhyped. Good point. Slugger Sam in the chat says, I said keep Wilder out of your mouth. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
Wilder.
Man, having those long arms and being...
Okay, Gonzalo, finish your point, and then I'm going to go to say something. Go ahead.
It involves the science to throw that jab and that right hand and align your opponent, which is a moving target. I mean, he's had a lot of sitting ducks in there, but to hit a moving target and utilize them long arms to line up that one guy with that one punch, it's not that easy, man. It's not that easy. Everybody would be world champion in that case.
Gonzalo, somebody has a question for you. Thank you, Raypax Trucking Company, for your contribution. He says, Gonzalo, so if you got a right hand, then what's next? What's the next best thing to have after? A left hook or a jab?
Jab.
The after?
Yeah. Yes, after a right hand.
It's before a jab.
I would say a left hook because it's the lead hand. If you land that power punch, in order to balance your body again, when you throw your left, you throw your left hook to balance your body. You can throw your right hand with force, but then you're gonna lose your balance. But to gain balance, you throw that lead hand in order to shift back into your boxing stance and retain your position and be able to punch again to release that jab again, the third punch.
Even Wilder knows this.
That's the jab.
Because that's what he does.
Gonzalo, I'm having a hard time trying to get a fix on where you're coming from, because sometimes with Wilder, because like you know that what you just said, you have a definite opinion on that. You know you've boxed, you've watched the sport for your entire life. Shit, man. You know that. Of course you know that. People with a tenth of the boxing knowledge that you have know that. Or they have an opinion on it at least, right? I'm like, you're so far ahead of me in terms of boxing. I still even understand I have an opinion on it, like a jab. Look at Klitschko. With that kind of reach, it's boring as fuck, but
It's effective.
It's obviously established. You've sparred against a guy that's implemented against. You know how effective it is to jab, throw a right hand, and if you get inside, clinch. You could win a zillion fights doing that. My point is this: you have that opinion. I know that Breland has that opinion that we can improve here. I know that his fans have that opinion. I know that people that hate him have that opinion. You know what's been said to him. So why are you saying like don't bother because like
you know he's been
he's just gonna fucking be a puncher anyway? He's got a right hand.
Look,
He's got a right hand.
If you're in sparring and you're facing sitting ducks who are just in front of you and you're landing that right hand, you're gonna look like $1 million inside the gym.
Exactly.
And your trainers are gonna say you look great. But when you step into the ring and you're fighting somebody that's gonna show you something different, then you're still telling yourself, why am I not landing that right hand? You're gonna get frustrated, and all of a sudden you're not gonna look like $1 million because you didn't train for that, right?
Maybe that's your knowledge coming in here because I'm just gonna put it back to football. I know it's a totally different sport, but when you're young and you're not really playing, you don't get playing time. You're on a scout team, which is really a sparring partner. You're emulating the team you're about to face, right? You're running their plays. You're running their offenses or their defenses against the starters. You're giving the starters a look. You're a sparring partner for these guys. They're going to play. They're going to go on to play in the game. You're just there to learn another team's, to give them a look the other team's going to give them. But they don't just tell us to go out there and do what we want. No, we have to run their fucking offense. You understand? Like to the T. And when I'm a starter and I'm playing defensive line, they're trying to fucking give me a look.
Pete,
granted, it's not full speed.
Who's in control of the team? Who's in control of the football team? Who's in control of the...
Deontay Wilder. The football team? The coaching staff, no doubt.
Coaching staff, the training. You have like trainers, right? Like whatever specialists, whatever. And that's how it works. There's a chain of command, in a sense. It seems like with Wilder...
But not in professional boxing, no.
Well, usually, come on, like a good boxer will listen to the trainer. The trainer is the one who sets the plan, the training thing. Wilder was the one in control, in my opinion. And JD's, he looks like he doesn't...
Every boxer is, yeah.
He convinced his team he convinced his team that the self-belief in himself by the team supporting Wilder and making him feel confident that man, you're the man. They felt that was the best Deontay Wilder because you made him believe that he's the man. So thinking that he was the man was gonna be the best version of Wilder. That's how, because they said maybe in boxing skills we're not gonna really make him an improve, but in confidence we can support him and have him believe that he is the man.
Yeah, look at Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. Remember, you heard him at the end. I think it was the 4th or 5th round. You heard him at the end, and he came out the next round. He came out rushing, and Ganoso said to him, "Slow down, calm down." And after that, he calmed down and he started picking his punches again. A good boxer will listen to his coach.
But you see, Wilder, he does have the deadly weapon. He does have the right hand and he got speed. So it's not just all like, it's not all smoke and mirrors. No, he does have that deadly weapon, man.
It's not all smoke and mirrors, right? But you got to find a way when it's not working for you. You got to find another way of utilizing that punch.
A plan B. Have a plan B. He had no fucking...
You have to have a plan B, a plan C. You do. And when you come up against someone of a decent level or top level, and that's not working for you, and you get found out and you don't have a plan B, you don't have another way of setting up that punch, then that's when you get caught. And that's what happened to him. He didn't have another way of setting up that punch.
That's the key, Brian Hawk. And he didn't have any way of setting up punches other than the 1-2, the 1-2, the 1-2. And he's catching you off guard.
You need a bit of length and range to do it. And Fine doesn't give him
he's
that.
Just basically catching you off guard.
Moving head
That's
target.
what he's looking for.
Two things. We keep saying he only had the 1-2. Then you're telling me his record. Oh no, you're talking bullshit if you say his record isn't that great. Let me tell you, if his record was full of if his record was great or good, at least he wouldn't have been able to win all those fights by doing the same fucking shit thing, 1-2, and losing a bunch of rounds, and then finally throwing the right hand. So the fact that he got away with that shit.
Luis Ortiz rematch was a prime example of that. He
you
didn't
can't tell me
win
he was
rounds.
a good fucking record if he was getting away with that losing rounds and then just landing a right hand. How can you tell me like, no, man, bullshit, man. These good fighters would never have been exposed, lost rounds against Wilder and then just got knocked out.
He let his hands go in that Luis Ortiz rematch one time, and he knocked him out.
Terrible. No,
Because Luis Ortiz was a standing target. Luis Ortiz wasn't moving his head. He was right in front of him, target. He found a bit of space. He landed the 1-2, knockout, end of story. Right? Yeah. If you don't give him that space, to land a 1-2, then, he ain't going to knock you out.
And then he also waited for the old man to tire out after 7 rounds. Because if you try to let your hands go early, then maybe Luis Ortiz, he still got a little bit of speed to throw behind his heavy hands and hurt you. So that's the reason why he doesn't release his hands. Because also he knows that if he misses wildly once again, he's going to get countered. So he would just rather have you under the impression that I'm a power puncher, because he is.
Yep.
Keep controlling you.
I just want to read a super chat. I just want to read a super chat from Slugger Sammy. He says, jabs are for sissies. Wilder throws man punches. All right. So thank you for that comment. But I was just going to say something else. Fuck, I forgot.
I don't see so much a 1-2, 1-2 with Wilder. I see a bunch of twos. 2 after 2 after 2.
Yeah, well, Pete, this is what I was going to say. Did he ever set up that right hand? Did he ever did something?
Not with a jab. I mean, not with a jab.
Well, he uses it to gauge distance.
That's all he does.
Yeah, to gauge the distance. He uses it like a flagpole to keep the opponent away, and there's a marker to stick that hand out, and I'm basically punching my own fist. But I'm punching the other guy, but I'm pointing at it with my lead glove.
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think there's a better way to do that?
The way he throws his 1-2, if he did that all the time, he threw the 1-2 the way he throws when he lands, and he threw that punch, he'd be off balance so much more in a fight, because to throw that way you have to land a punch. Either then you're off balance. That's why he doesn't throw a lot, to maintain his balance.
Okay, yeah. So the flaws are numerous. Like Lucho said, the first guy, as soon as he faces a guy that's such and such, Fury wasn't even that guy. I mean, Shvilka could have been that guy. He's been wobbled in a lot of fights. I'm not trying to knock the guy. He's the 4th best. He's in the top 4 in the whole division. So, but like I said, man, when you go back to that next training camp, I'm not saying Gonzalo's right in terms of, you don't kiss a guy's ass, but you're not looking to rip him into the fucking ground. You're not looking for that. You're not looking just to fucking smash him into the ground and get pissed as a trainer. If you're doing that, then if you feel like that, you should just go. But there probably is a level of frustration, because at that next camp, let's just say your right's the hardest right that's ever been in the heavyweight division. Okay, we really don't need to throw a right hand. And again, maybe it doesn't work like this, but if I'm bringing in sparring for that next fight, I'm telling those sparring partners to give Wilder a look for what I need to work on today, right? It's not about whatever you want to do, and it's not about emulating to the T the next fighter. It's just like, we're going to work on such and such today. Just jab, pulling your jab hand back after you throw it. Being able just to judge by your eyes the distance. Don't hold it out there and paw with it and range find with it, because you are open to get hooked, like Fury hooked him because he didn't keep his hands back. So,
well, that's against a 6'9" guy. If you hold your hands out against a guy that's 6'3", maybe that guy doesn't reach you.
Like Andy Ruiz, or like Tyson, or like Ruiz, or like Povetkin. Yeah, these guys get inside of you. When they get inside of you, they can get to you, clinch.
Well, if they get inside,
don't be afraid to clinch.
If you're keeping them away with your arms, like a flagpole, and you're controlling his head, then if the guy tries to push forward, you push with your glove his head to where you can push yourself back and use it as like a dog has his tail. When a dog gets cornered to a corner, that tail's the marker, where he's not going to get pinned, because that tail's telling you where the back of the edge of the wall is, whatever, the house. whatever. It's like that. You keep
Yeah.
your arm out, and when that fucker tries to step in, you push on his head and push yourself back. That's how you keep a guy out. A shorter
Natural
guy.
It's hard
reaction,
to
right?
prepare.
It's
It's
natural
hard to
human
prepare
reaction
for
to do
someone
that,
like Fury.
even in
Yeah,
a civilian fight. But
All
you
right,
saw
guys.
you saw Garcia get clipped by Luke Campbell doing that. You have human instinct, right? That you want to do certain things, but this is not a street fight. If you hold your your lead hand away from your face for any longer
Not
than you
always.
have to,
Not always. It's certain instances. It's certain instances. Of course, you cannot do it all the time.
Guys, we gotta end the show.
Gonzalo.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
right.
but Mr. BDA is up my ass over here. We need to end the show because we're doing a second Renaissance. So everybody,
We're on the
go-
clock, boys. We're on the clock. We got to
we're
run
on
on
the clock.
tight
I'm
schedule,
actually
okay?
late here. I'm late. So we gotta everybody
Okay,
go to the
sorry.
second Renaissance. Link in the description. Click on that shit, and you'll be sent to another channel. Second Renaissance, where we talk about anything and everything, politics, conspiracy theories, the paranormal. You guys will see. Great show. All right, guys. I'm gonna hang up, and
Yeah.
Mr. BD is gonna call you again. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys in the chat. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Actually, we'll see you on the second Renaissance. So click on that link. All right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Everybody on StreamYard, thank you for joining us.
Peace.
And yep, here we go.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.